No. What? Oh, you are budget and finance. Okay. Well, we have used to announce we didn't announce the meetings at the end of the last meeting. And so it was like 6:20 or something. We're like, I'm just going to send out a quick text. Did you get my text?
Yes,
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was already here though.
Oh,
Let me make one brief announcement.
yeah, of course. Please do. Okay, thank you. All right. Good evening. I'm going to call the Thursday, May 22nd meeting of Ordinance and Intergovernmental Relations Subcommittee to order. Members present are myself, Eileen Burnell, Vice Chair and District Council Estela Reyes, Council President and Voting Member Modesto Maldonado, Council Vice President and Voting Member Nilka Alvarez Rodriguez. Also joining us tonight is District Councilor Mark LaPlante, non-voting member. Could I please get a motion to accept the minutes from our last meeting, which should be May 8th?
So move.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I'm just going to go in order. If anyone is here and I did not check in with me at the beginning, like 1 minute ago, please raise your hand right now. Because I don't want somebody coming up to me at 10 o'clock and say, I've been here since the beginning. So whoever's here has checked in. Great. The first item is document number 170-14. It's a transient vendor license. The applicant is Joanna Oliveira. It's 35 Park Street, Lawrence, Mass. Joanna, are you here? Come on up. Please, thank you. Joanna's got a truck. It sells hamburgers, sausages, and sodas. I see a sign off from the police department here.
Yes.
I see the sign off from the fire department here. I see the double sign off from the police. Tax assessor has signed off. Do you own the property at 35 Park?
I do,
You do?
yes.
Are you together?
Yes.
Okay. Do you own any other properties in the city?
No.
No? Great. All the sign-offs are here for 35 Park. The hawkers and peddlers state licenses are here. Everything's in order. Does anyone have any questions for the applicants? None. Can I get a motion to send this up to the full council with a favorable recommendation, please?
So
So-
moved.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, Ms. Oliveira, if you or someone on your behalf could be here in 2 Tuesdays, June 3rd. That's the final vote from the full city council, just in case someone else has a question. But this committee, your paperwork's all in order and everything's good.
Okay.
Great, so Tuesday, June 3rd, 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you so
Great,
much.
see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item where someone checked in this evening was document number 173-14. It's Groundworks Lawrence. They're requesting permission to use the the Pemberton Park on June 7, 2014, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for their Salsa Festival, and that was submitted by Rosa Pina. Hi,
Hi, good evening.
good evening. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Rosa Pina, 24 Brook Street.
Thank you. Just going to take a quick look at the application. If you want to talk about your event for a minute while we grab out your paperwork?
This event is the first one that we do in Lawrence. Historically, we had done the Kai Festival every June, at the beginning of June. This one is a combination of events. It includes the Kai Festival, Wheel Day from Grandma Lawrence, also includes YMCA Healthy Kids Day, Mayo Health Task Force Family and Fun and Fitness Day. It's the kickoff for the summer meal program from the Lawrence Public Schools, and it's also Family Services of Merrimack Valley Family Fiesta. So it's a combination of events. It's very active, it's very interactive. Bike clinic, BMX demonstrations, BC Cocina is gonna be there doing some bike repairs and some bike safety. Also Mass DOT is participating with the Safe Route to Schools. So it's just gonna be a fun, free event for the whole family.
Great.
Madam Chair. As part of this festival, the Salsa Festival, are you going to be, by any chance, teaching people how to do salsa?
Actually, salsa.
Mr. LaPlante told me that he wanted to learn how to dance salsa.
We actually gonna be, there's gonna be
I wanted to give the clinic, actually.
some Zumba lessons. There's gonna be some Zumba lessons because salsa states for supporting active lifestyle for all. So it's, there's some people that believe it's just a salsa festival, that we're gonna be dancing salsa. Some others think it's a chips and salsa festival. It depends how you interpret but yes, there's gonna be music, there's gonna be dancing, there's gonna be a lot of fun.
Great.
So you make that promise in public, you know that. You're gonna be having a lot of
Yeah, we're
people,
gonna be dancing salsa, so I'll wait for
just to make sure.
Councilor LaPlante, so.
The paperwork is in order. The only thing, Rosa, we always ask anyone, and you guys have an excellent track record with using any festival in any of our parks, is just to please have a cleanup plan in place before the event starts.
Yes.
Everyone's been very good about leaving the parks as clean or cleaner than they find them, and if you guys would do the same, we would
Yes.
appreciate that. So now that we know it's not salsa lessons. Anyone have
There's
any
gonna
other?
be Zumba lessons, so.
That's right, Zumba lessons.
That's when you can start.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, I'm looking for a favorable recommendation to send that up to the full council.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So again, Rosa, if you or someone from your group could please be here on that Tuesday night, June 3rd, for the final vote of the full council, that would be great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you then.
Good evening.
The next one, which would be your dancing lesson. 174 he here?
174.
174-14 is Rumba in El Parque, which is dancing in the park. This may be the lesson that you're
Here's the
looking for.
salsa.
Could you please say your name and address for the record?
Veronica Antich, 31 Sear Drive.
Thank you, Maria. So, you want to tell us a little bit about your festival? Is that?
The Rumba in El Parque is a repeated event. We did it last year. Last year lasted for whole 3 months. This year we're gonna just try 1 month because last year the turnout was very low, but we're positive that we wanna keep doing it. We don't wanna give up just now, but so we're asking for only August. Also, we reduced the amount of time because we realized that people was getting there at 6:30 and not 6, and that they were leaving around 8:30 instead of 9. So we reduced it from 6:30 to 8:30 only.
Sorry, my bad.
And unfortunately, it's not salsa lessons. We are though. Because of this, last year, we realized that the community wants to learn salsa, so we started teaching salsa at Deb's restaurant first, at the Bell Tower Cafe. We grew so much that we had to move to the senior center, and now we are every Thursday at the senior center. We started being there only from 7:30 to 8:30, but now the group is so big and so different levels that we start at 6:30 with the beginners. So if you're a beginner, you have to go at 6:30. And then at 7:30 is the beginners advance. And then actually tomorrow, we're having a social, free for the community, where we're gonna just play salsa from 8 to 11. Everybody's welcome, all ages. There will be no alcohol.
And that's this Friday at the senior center from 8 to 11?
Yes.
Nice.
And that all came up thanks to Rumba en El Parque last year. So during Rumba en El Parque in August, there will be no salsa lessons. We're giving a break to the salsa lessons and moving to the park to enjoy the weather. And that will be just music at the park, just salsa, merengue, and bachata, not just salsa. And then everybody's welcome and everybody can dance. There will be no selling of anything. We're not selling food or anything.
Nice. Well, the paperwork is all in order. The same thing that we say to the other festivals, if you could just have a plan in place before the event starts for cleanup at the end of the night, and please leave the parks as clean or cleaner than you found them. If no one has any other questions for this applicant, I'm looking for a motion to send it up to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Been made
Second.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So again, if you or someone on your behalf could be here on June 3rd for that final vote, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know that did Fernando Santiago sneak in the room?
Yes, he's here.
Okay. Hi, how are you, sir? Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
El nombre y la dirección para el Greco.
Fernando Santiago, 43 de la Wima Street, Loring,
Fernando
Massachusetts.
Santiago, 42 Raymond Street.
Great. And this is a renewal of the license?
Es para renovar la licencia.
Para renovar.
Yes, renew.
This is a transient vendor license. It's a push cart?
Yeah, no cones, large.
Great, we love those.
Just repeat the word. Feo, feo.
Frio, frio.
Ya frío.
Everything's, I'm getting there, I'm learning.
She's getting, she's gonna get one of feo, feo this summer.
The paperwork's in order. You don't need to sign up from the fire department because you don't use gas or electric. So, yeah, if I can get a motion to send this up to the full council with a favorable recommendation?
So move.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, so sir, if you or someone on your behalf could be here, final vote is Tuesday, June 2nd, June 3rd? Tuesday.
Tiene que volver en junio 3 para tomar el voto final. Okay, a las 7 de la noche.
Gracias.
Okay.
Next document on the agenda is document number 175-14. It's a security regulation at the nightclubs that was requested by Councilor LaPlante. Counselor?
Thank you very much, Council, Madam Chair. So I put this on the council agenda based on a request that I received from constituent Alex Santana, who is a gentleman who has some experience in the nightclub industry and thought that we could improve upon our security and our safety at our nightclubs by perhaps adopting what is currently the policy/regulations in the city of Boston. Inside your packet, you will see the appropriate executive order that was done by Mayor Menino back in 2007. And I'll just highlight what it is that this regulation will offer. It starts off on number 4. It says that no licensee may employ as a security employee any person who in prior years has been convicted in state or federal courts of crimes such as armed robbery, assault, battery, sexual assault, criminal harassment, kidnapping, manslaughter, mayhem, murder, rape, or stalking, without being cleared by both the licensing authorities and the Boston Police Department. That's number 1. Number 2, if you're going to be serving alcohol at these nightclubs, you need to have security personnel who need to have the proper security. That's paragraph number 5, before they are allowed to interact with patrons. They need to provide this information, and we're going to get the licensing board very involved in this because they'll need to send that information to the licensing board. And the last provision, which is number 6, talks about the fact that if they are found in violation, that if there is a second violation within 18 months, they need to go before a hearing before, in this particular case, we'll make it the Lawrence Licensing Board, and with a potential penalty that they're going to need to pay or perhaps even lose their license for a certain amount of time. Now, counselors, we spent about an hour last week, or maybe a half hour, on ice cream vendors, and that we need to have a query check for them. We're talking about nightclubs here, and this is potentially has a drain on our public safety, so much so that we actually have these thing called the police club details that go around and that kind of regulate and make sure that the clubs are acting appropriately and that there's no problems. The beauty behind what Mr. Santana has asked us to consider is that this is actually a step that's going to reduce the need for the police club details, because they are going to stop problems before the problems escalate in these clubs. So the idea being, if you have the proper security detail working at these clubs, the idea being you'll have a bouncer or a security guard who will know that somebody's already inebriated and knows how to deal with that individual before allowing them in. The chances of there being any kind of problems will be drastically reduced. It's not going to be the panacea. It's not going to solve all the problems. But we're talking about what can we do to reduce the amount of problems that could emanate from a nightclub setting. And so if you have the right bouncer or that's able to have the kind of skill set and experience and education that's able to talk to someone in the kind of way where it's non-confrontational, that's not going to escalate things, and have someone come out with that kind of training, that's going to reduce the kind of conflicts potentially that would require our public safety officials to eventually have to intervene. So I'm looking at it as a place that they could actually, in some respects, save some money on a club detail if it's done appropriately. And it's gonna provide for safer streets, because we're not gonna be able, we won't need our police department, hopefully, to go into and get more involved in these clubs, and they could protect our streets. So it's less of a use of our public resources. And then it'll make the experience that not only the patrons have over there at these clubs, a much better experience for them, where they have less concerns about safety issues. So that's the thrust of it. My recommendation, and Mr. Santana's here to answer any questions, my recommendation is to send this maybe to the police department to get their take on it and see if they can craft it, as well as the city attorney. Should the police department give it a favorable recommendation, or if they approve of it? But that's where I think we should go with it.
I have a question, Mr. LaPlante.
Councilor Maldonado.
Every club that engage in music, dancing, entertainment, is already required to have security guards. Am I correct? Is that right?
I'm not even sure if they're supposed to. Do you know if we were supposed to have them? We are supposed to have them? I'm getting a head nod. So we are supposed to have them.
They're
Right.
supposed to have it, yeah.
Okay.
They are required to have security guards.
Required, but they no high training these people, they hire
Okay.
for the street.
So basically, this is to make sure that those security guards meet the required training. And who will provide those training? Is there an organization that provides those training?
Well, normally, for example, my experience, my name is Alex Santana, 115 Union Street. My experience in Boston, working in Boston, we work for a company, and we had to comply like 12-hour training every year.
Okay.
14-hour training. So that be provided by the company.
Okay.
So
Is the-
most of the club in Lawrence, they don't hire a company. They hire anybody for the street, put in the door. That's
Okay.
it. So how?
So basically, what you're looking for is that people who are hired have already gone through a training program
Yes, correct.
that is offered in Boston.
Well, by the company, different company they
Oh,
offer.
there are different companies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any club owner can looking around for any company, and they do the training. So we can, for example, the company in Boston, we do the training, 12 hours training every year, 14-hour training, and
How would you describe the problem between a security guard that has not been trained properly versus a security guard that has been trained properly by this company? What do you see as the difference, the biggest differences?
number one, the difference is a person training know how to stop and not escalate the problem. Most of the people, they're not training. They're confronting right away the person. So we know how to handle the situation. We know how to talk to the person, approach the person, in case we had to use force, how do you handle that person to not provide a bigger problem inside the club. So you don't want to a big fight or a chaos inside the club. So
And does this company normally do a background check for this? Do they do the companies, do they do a
they
background
do a
check?
background check. They require CARI, background check, be sure that everybody, because let's say somebody at the door, you go to the club, pat down you, how you know this person is the right person to do it?
Right. This brings to mind a case back in New York where a security guard killed a student
Yep.
from Massachusetts. Remember that case?
Yep.
That
Yep. Yeah.
he killed her, and he had a criminal background.
Yeah, how we know the persons in the door,
Yeah.
they don't connect with the bad guys. So how we know this person had the right training to confront any situation?
Okay. What is for a security guard to go through this training, what is the cost to them?
Pardon me?
What is the cost?
The cost for the training?
Yes.
Depend the company they use it.
Okay, it all depends on the company.
Depend the company, they can.
So Boston right now, this was adopted in Boston.
That's
And they require that every
person had to be
every
coded
security guard have to have that training?
or work for the company, and the company had to provide the training.
Okay. Think it makes sense? It makes sense?
Councilor Alvarez.
Madam Chair, yes, are you yourself a club owner?
No.
Okay. Because I had questions that I think, I'm not sure if you have the answers for it.
That's
which
right.
is, you know, in my experience, I often see that the club owners hire policemen. They have details at the door. Do you know how many club owners do
No, all
that?
of them, all of us club. You go out on the night and the weekend, no, everybody have details officer.
Okay, just as they're required to have, you know, fire details after a certain amount of people.
No, everybody complying with all that.
And that, there's an ordinance for that, no?
Yeah.
Says how many people, and then how many firemen you need. I don't know exactly how I feel about this. I mean, I don't want people with, you know, with all due respect, that have 14-hour training, actually policing the street. And, you know, that was part of the presentation that I heard. I think our policemen should be doing that. And when people come out of the clubs,
No?
yeah, I heard, he said we will spend less in police.
I mean, and just,
Could you clarify that?
there'd be less need for police officers because
Yeah.
the people who are leaving the clubs will be better behaved, so there's no need to have as much police going to the clubs to take care of actions because if the security people are doing their job correctly, they're gonna reduce the amount of problems in the clubs. They're not policing the area. That's not
Oh,
their
okay.
job. They don't have a badge or
Right,
anything.
because I'm concerned that, you know, that, not yourself, but some people, you know, would think that they're this big authority, you know? The other thing is, and we know that, you know, to be an actual police person, you have to go through intensive training, you know? And the other piece that, I don't know how that affects actual people's behavior. I mean, if they're a little tipsy and they're going out and they're loud, they're gonna continue to be loud regardless of whether a security guard has, you know, 14 hours of training or not.
Well,
So I don't see that being a cause and effect.
yeah,
But I understand what is being proposed here. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't, you know, move forward with it and then perhaps invite club owners and other people of interest to, you know, to say how they feel about that and what exactly is the process that they're engaged in order to make sure that they have appropriate personnel. And I want to make sure that people in Lawrence have access to companies so that they can keep their jobs, you know, rather than having to.
we're
you know,
not, we're
go
not
into
looking,
Boston.
we're not looking, let's say, to take these people out of the job. No, they be hired and be training properly. So, because you don't want somebody with a big criminal background, so handle it like situations in the club. So we want to be sure these people be training, and we want to be sure these people is a clean person.
Why don't you tell me a little bit, is it Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Mr. Santana, why don't you tell me a little bit about what that training entails?
So they doing like,
What's in the training?
so in the training include like retention for people. So you retain somebody, how you approach somebody. how
Okay,
you-
so how do you talk to someone?
Yeah, different situations.
Diffuse something rather
Diffuse.
than,
So it's different type of trainings.
yeah. All right, Madam Chair, I'm of the opinion that we could move forward with it, but I think we should make an effort to invite, maybe go to the licensing board and ask them to do a mailing that this is being considered, because they know who the club owners are. Because he's asking us to send it to the police department. I don't see why we couldn't do that
Right.
and move
yeah,
it
of
forward.
course.
And at the
Yes.
same time, you know, talk to the people maybe at the licensing board who have a list of who the club owners are.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to get some feedback, like Ms. LaPlante said, from the
Yes.
police department. And like you indicated, if we can invite club owners to come in, and, because I think they will benefit. In the end,
so too.
in the end, having people that are properly trained is going to decrease liability for them. So it would be a good thing if they come and understand what it's going to take, and I think it's going to be beneficial. I think it will be. So
But I'm just concerned, people want, maybe they want to hire someone that they know, then.
they can send
How
them.
exactly do they get the quarry done? Who do they pay to get it done? So there's certain
Those
things
are- those
that
are information, yes, yeah.
that I think need to be answered before we can,
Well,
push it forward. I'm not saying I feel negatively about it.
No, no,
I'm
no,
just
no, I
saying, let's study it a little more.
Right, and
Why-
that really makes sense. So at this point, I think we can consider that motion and send a
let me
recommendation
let me make the
Yeah,
motion.
that's
I
in the
make the
form of a
motion that we
motion.
send this document to the police department for feedback, and that they come back at our next ordinance committee meeting to talk about it, and that we also invite club owners so they can hear the benefits of this proposal, yes.
Is that your formal
That's a
motion?
formal motion, yes.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. So next.
Thank you, Mr. Santana.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Next item in the agenda is document 178-14, Oportunidad de Negocio, OG, request permission to use Camping Common Park from May 5th to October 5th, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Take care.
See you.
Buenas
Good
noches.
evening.
¿Puedo hablar en español?
For the record, your name and your address for the record.
Felicita Peguero.
Felicita Pereira. Okay, Felicita, why you don't tell us a little bit about the request that you just made and what this is going to be about?
¿Puedo hablar en español porque no sé inglés?
What is that?
¿Puedo hablar en español porque no sé inglés?
Oh, habla
Okay,
español.
yes.
¿Me
You can
puedes
help us?
hacer la pregunta de nuevo,
Sí.
por favor?
Yes,
Ajá.
yes.
Gracias.
Yo lo voy a traducir para las personas que están en la casa y en audiencia puedan entender lo que estamos hablando. She has requested translation, so I will be translating her words into English, even though we all understand Spanish, but for the benefit of the audience and the benefit of the people at home.
Yeah, your
Her name
name
is Felicita Pilguero.
so, okay. And if she can tell us a little bit about the request that she just
Si
made.
usted nos puede dar un poquito de información sobre la actividad.
Ok, el motivo de la actividad es porque nosotros queremos un permiso, hacerlo legal. Nosotros lo que queremos es promocionar un producto saludable. Es una manera de contactar personas. Nosotros le damos una muestra de café a cambio del número de teléfono de esa persona y el nombre para preguntarle si le gustó el sabor y si le gustaría saber de la oportunidad de negocio.
Okay. The
Regalando para
objective of
contactar.
this event is to introduce their product to people. They will give them samples and take down their name and address. You can hear me?
Coffee.
¿Cuál es el producto?
¿Se lo puedo enseñar?
Yeah.
Es
Son unas muestras de café. Café orgánico, saludable.
organic coffee.
Ajá. El nombre es de Órgano Gold. Son muestras así, como esta. Nosotros sencillamente le preguntamos a la persona si toman café, qué clase de café toman. Según la contestación que me den, si es negro, con crema o azúcar. Dependiendo la contestación, se le regala una muestra de café a cambio del nombre y número de teléfono. Nosotros sencillamente lo que queremos es contactar personas y brindarle oportunidad que hagan lo mismo que nosotras.
Okay, so they want to be able to contact people, engage them, and present the opportunity for them to be able, thank you, Counselor, to be able to purchase this organic coffee to coffee drinkers. So I don't know, this is new for me.
Yes, yes, keep going, keep going. So, yeah, keep going.
She's
we just-
done.
Okay, she's done. Anyone has any other question?
So this is a for-profit thing, though? This is not,
This is what she's saying, and she just say that is that she's going to do like a coffee sample for the people who want to join them in this activity. And they going to exchange the sample of coffee if you provide your name and your phone number, so that way they can contact you if you like the product.
okay.
So it is marketing.
It is basically marketing.
Yeah.
My only concern is, and I'm not saying wouldn't support it, the same reason I had hesitancy with one of the festivals that was gonna be down at Pemberton Park, I just feel like we've been very generous with the parks for not-for-profit organizations, and that's really what the spirit of them is. This isn't the mall, like, I just get nervous if we let them come in here to do this, and it's for their business, that every business is,
Right.
if you need a storefront, you need a storefront, like, I can't,
La presidenta del comité está diciendo que nosotros somos bien generosos con el uso de los parques cuando se viene a las actividades de aquellas organizaciones que no son sin fines de lucro. Pero lo que ustedes están proponiendo es nuevo para nosotros, porque es para que ustedes van a hacer dinero, ¿verdad? Eso
En realidad no, porque es regalando. Nosotros lo que queremos es contactar personas.
sí, pero el resultado es que ellos compren el producto, ¿no?
No, que se afilien al negocio.
¿Cómo así?
Brindarle una
Que se unan al negocio.
Exacto, que si deciden escuchar la oportunidad de cómo es que funciona el negocio, que entren al negocio.
It's basically that they
Es como para
and just to recruit people who wants to get enrolling in the business.
Yeah, so they would sell the product.
but they're not selling the product on the common.
No, they're giving them samples.
They just give a sample and just take people's phone numbers, so that way they can contact them later. If they are interested to enroll in the business, then yes, but that's not gonna happen in the
If
park.
they want to join the business, yeah.
Okay,
It's different. It's
yeah,
more-
I guess my fear is, and what about the next guy that says, I just want people to try on my shoes and see if they like them? And the next guy's like, I just want people to look at these T-shirts and see if they like them. Like, where do we draw the line? Like, I'm not saying no, but I just, when we start to get into for-profit businesses, recruiting employees,
Ella no está diciendo que no, pero si nosotros empezamos a darle a los negocios oportunidad de diseñar el producto para después poder venderlo, pero ¿qué es lo que van a hacer las personas que se unen, las personas que se unan a su negocio? ¿Qué es lo que van a hacer?
Lo que quiero decir que, ¿cómo te explico? Si la persona decide entrar al negocio, no va a ser en el parque.
No, that
No,
part
no,
we
eso
know.
está claro.
Exacto.
Pero
If they decided to join
pero
the
el
business,
objeto es
that's not gonna happen
que
in the
ellos
park.
entonces
We're clear.
sean personas que vendan el producto, que
Que consuman el producto. Cuando tú te afilias,
o lo consumen,
Exacto,
ellos van a tener que pagar, ¿no?
Para que más o menos me entiendas, tienes un vaso ahí de Dunkin' Donuts, ¿verdad? De café.
Ajá.
Tú le estás dando beneficio a Dunkin' Donuts, pero Dunkin' Donuts no te da un beneficio en tu salud ni en tu bolsillo.
Ajá.
Eso es lo que nosotros queremos cambiar en las personas, que cambien su marca de café por una marca de café saludable y al que la vez lo consumen, le pagan por consumirlo y por recomendarlo. O sea, yo no quiero ventas en el parque, no. Lo que yo quiero es contar.
Pero hay ventas después, ¿no?
no, I understand that.
Pero después hay ventas, ¿verdad?
No, pero no en el parque.
Sí, yo entiendo eso.
Bueno, ventas
Pero
en
el
sentido de
objeto
que si
es
tú te
que-
afilias, tienes que pagar el consumo.
Que ustedes
La misma red.
tengan clientes, ¿no?
Yo lo vería como que ya sería si, un ejemplo, usted se afilia, te va a pagar para su consumo mensual.
Sí.
¿verdad?
Yeah.
Eso es lo
Right.
único. Y si tienes producto,
No,
si una persona
I
lo
feel
quiere,
the
ya
same
eso
way.
sería
Like if it-
como entre familia y amistad.
Right.
Cosas así, no es nada de...
Right.
Yeah.
The health thing is, I'm sorry,
Like, you let
they're
Milka
saying
go
that they're
first.
producing a health by getting them to drink organic coffee rather than regular coffee. But in the end, after, they're not gonna be selling in the park, but they are ultimately gonna sell them their monthly.
They will be generating a business.
They're
Right.
gonna generate a business. But, while you was talking to her, we was talking about if that is something that is going to, be, interesting for them to do it. Like, Semana Hispana is coming, so they can talk to the president and see if they can place a table.
That makes more
where
sense.
They can put
That
all
will
the
make, that will
samples.
make more sense.
To be there all the time. And then the thing, I
That's a
just
good
get,
idea.
have
That
them
will
be a
make more
sub
sense.
of another group, because I feel- I understand that she's not selling coffee, she's selling the concept. She's-
Business opportunity.
Yeah,
A business.
but
That's what you,
then is, the next person is, where does a business opportunity, like, we haven't traditionally done that. This hasn't been about business opportunity, and it makes me nervous, it's kind of the slippery slope, once you start
can
going
get
down.
into it.
Tradicionalmente nosotros no permitimos que se haga ese tipo de actividad, pero estamos pensando aquí que como Semana Hispana, ustedes pueden poner,
Hablar con el presidente.
hablar con el presidente y tendrían ahí la oportunidad
De poner
de
una
hablar con un montón de gente. Y ustedes saben que para Semana Hispana se llena
Sí.
el parque, pues eso sería mejor para ustedes.
Ok.
¿Ok? De que nosotros le demos el parque por un día. Y ya está la gente ahí. So,
¿Y cuál sería entonces el paso que tendríamos que
okay,
dar?
who's the president now?
Arnaldo,
Arnaldo something.
Arnaldo de Jesús.
Arnaldo de Jesús.
Hernando de Jesús,
you give
do we
him
have a number for them?
We can get one, but I don't,
Can we get it?
Can we,
I could get the contact information.
I can give the contact information, I can get it for her. She can take my number, she can call me and I can give that information, so that way.
Okay.
Te podemos conseguir, perdón, te podemos conseguir esa información de que tú te pongas en contacto con el presidente de Semana Hispana, donde yo creo, igual que nosotros estamos pensando, no diciéndote que no, pero abriéndote las puertas a ti, van a venir otras personas y vamos a cambiarle el contexto para lo que se usa el parque. En Semana Hispana hay mucho más personas que van y tú vas a tener la oportunidad de hablar con las personas y quizá puedas reclutar más personas. Entonces, si tú quieres, yo te puedo dar el número de teléfono ahora, tú me llamas mañana y yo te paso esa información y tú te pones en contacto con ella. So she likes that idea.
Counselor Vasquez just wanted to add something too, but I think that's a great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she has your contact info?
I'm going to give one of my
You're gonna
business cards and then she can call me tomorrow.
Hey,
Yeah,
yeah,
go
when
ahead.
are we getting our business cards, by the way?
Okay, so, yeah, go ahead.
Madam Chair, thank you very much for allowing me to speak in the ordinance committee. It's been a while, thank you. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in the conversation. I think that the concept of having your personal business is great, and giving people the opportunity is an awesome initiative. But one concern that I do have is the fact that anytime we have someone that is providing any food services or beverages in the park, they have to go through inspectional services to be able to get any necessary permits to have the inspection done properly. And in this instance, I know that there wouldn't be a charge for the consumer, but there's still going to be some consumption of coffee. But I'm
For the food?
for the food permit specifically, because it will be a consumption of a product.
Right.
So I do know that the product is high quality, but that will be a concern that I will have in regards to consumption at the park.
You want to tell her yourself in Spanish? Or
Sure.
you want me to
So,
translate?
yo mismo te traduciré. Madam Chair, I will just translate
Please, I would
exactly what I
prefer
just
you
said.
would,
Yo, el concepto de tener su propio negocio, la felicito por eso, y de querer presentárselo a otras personas también, yo creo que es muy importante. Lo único sería de que cada persona que viene ante nosotros para buscar un permiso para usar el parque, también tiene que asistir al
Those guys left. Right?
el departamento de inspección. Usualmente porque está habiendo un consumo de un producto y el producto en este caso es un producto líquido, pero tenemos el departamento de inspección, el cual inspecciona todo lo que es el consumo de comida o bebidas en el parque. Y aparte de eso, se le pide usualmente que tengan una licencia especial para poder ofrecer esos servicios que que sería, esa es mi única preocupación en cuanto a eso.
Cuando participa en Semana Hispana, no necesita hacer eso, porque ellos tienen una licencia general para todo. Y por eso es que te beneficiaría mucho más y alcanzaría más personas en Semana Hispana.
Y-
También el producto ya viene con sus certificaciones,
Sí.
Sí.
Yeah. No, we understand that, so.
totalmente legal, si no estuviera aquí.
Sí. No, la parte, so she's saying that the product itself has its own certification because it's a legal
The
product.
licenses and
So esa parte comprendemos. Lo único es que vamos a decir toda venta de un producto de consumo al cliente cuando se está haciendo en un parque de la ciudad. Nosotros usualmente pedimos que traigan una certificación especial y que sea inspeccionado por el Departamento de Inspecciones. Entonces eso para ti sería un costo adicional. Usualmente toma tiempo para tú adquirir ese tipo de permiso específico para tú poder ofrecer un consumo de un producto al cliente. Es una sugerencia, ¿ves? Pero te felicito por la oportunidad de tener tu propio negocio.
Sí, claro.
Okay, so,
Pues
at this
muchas
point,
gracias y que pasen buenas noches.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
buenas
you, good
noches.
night. So we just have to withdraw. The council's
Okay,
not gonna-
motion to withdraw?
Motion to withdraw, the document has been made.
Second.
And seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
The next document that somebody checked in for was this, come back, Counselor. The Assembly of Christian Churches was document number 184-14. They're requesting to use the Campagnon Common Park on July 12th and August 2nd from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. for evangelical services. It was requested by Juan R. Perez. Is someone from the church here?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Could you please state your name and your address for the record?
Yes, my name is Criseli Rosa Garcia. My address is 549 Haverhill Street in Lawrence, Mass.
Okay. So it says you guys want to have a service from, why did I get the wrong paper?
2 to 6 p.m.,
Yep,
the same service every year, with the only difference this year, we're gonna put 2 tables and 20 chairs for people to sit. No food, no beverage, no nothing.
great.
Speakers,
And speakers are fine, and the whole thing is really nice. We like people, prayer is good. Pray for us, we need it. But sincerely, one request we've had from people that live down in the Oak Street area and different parts near the Common was some churches, not yours, but some churches were pointing the speakers towards the houses to try to evangelize.
yeah, we don't do that.
You don't
no.
do that. You
We
point the
don't
speakers
worry.
towards your own congregation, that's all.
Yes, we've
Perfect.
done it for 3 years. We have given no kind of trouble.
Right.
Perfect, thank you. And the same thing, we ask anyone that's using the park to please just have a plan in place for cleanup. Have your plan in place before you even go. And if you leave the park as clean, or even a little cleaner than you found it, we would be grateful.
And no cars.
Great. Anyone have any other questions for the applicant?
No, I move that we send it up with a favorable recommendation.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor? Aye. Great, so if you or someone from your church could please be here on Tuesday evening, June 3rd, for the final vote, that would be great.
June 3rd for the carnival?
Yep, June 3rd,
right
it's a
here.
Tuesday night, right here. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next document that someone checked in for was document number 185-14. It's the Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition. They're requesting permission to use the Campagnon Common Park on June 28th from noon to 4 p.m. for substance abuse prevention awareness. This was requested by Delilah Rivera. Hi,
Hi,
could you please state your name and address for the record, please?
sure. Delilah Rivera, 112A East Havel Street.
Great, thank you.
I have some packets for you so that you can better understand.
Thank you, yep.
That is so kind.
Oh, yeah, let's see.
Did they say they were coming back?
No idea. Thank you, Pat.
Porque ellos están a las 5:30.
So the program that I run is called the Substance Abuse Prevention Task Force. And in January, if you'll see the very first set of pictures, we did an event, and we had a few guest speakers there. You also have this flyer on the left side. The guest speakers were an ex-convict, an ex-drug dealer, drug addict, and an ex-gang member. They shared their stories of hope, and it was very, very impactful. We had over 225 people sign in, and the goal for that was, it was a new year, and people always come up with different, ideas of how they want to change their life and stuff. So we wanted to bring that message of hope and also use this as a tool for prevention for our youth. These people, they don't look at themselves as role models. They even say that when they speak. They just share with them their struggles and how hard it is to overcome addiction, getting involved with gangs, et cetera. The other pictures in there, I go to schools. I go to different service providers that want to hear me speak about, the issues that we do have in Lawrence with substance abuse. And what else?
So the event that you're going to have on June 28th, is that with these same speakers, or is that?
The same speakers.
Great, okay, nice.
We also want to highlight, the reason why I have extended the time for this one to 4 hours is it's going to be like a family day. We also want to highlight youth that are, dancing, singing, reading poems, writing their own poems, as a highlight and a reward to them for not spending time hanging out and doing things that they shouldn't do. Whereas they're going to practice, they're sitting down taking time writing poems and writing music. And that way we could highlight our youth and show them that we appreciate that they're going down the right track.
Okay. The paperwork is in order. It sounds like a wonderful event. I'm glad that you guys do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's also a little video in there, and I couldn't show it to you today, but it's 6 minutes long, and it's a PSA of that event in January.
Wait, 6 minutes or
Yes,
60? Did you
6 minutes.
You wanted to show it?
I did, but I didn't know if how I would do that.
Is that what this is set up for?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay,
No, that's what we-
okay.
But you each have one, so you can actually
Okay.
look
We
at
can
it.
probably have them run it, though, on the local cable.
Okay,
So I'll give that to John.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So can I get a motion to send this up to the full council with the favorable recommendation?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. And just so you're aware, just like we've said to every single person, two things. One is to please leave the park as clean or cleaner than you found it. And the second thing is to please have you or somebody from your group be here on Tuesday, June 3rd for the final vote.
Perfect.
Thank you. And don't go anywhere because document number one, so we took the vote, right? Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Thank you. Document number 186-14 is the Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition. They're requesting permission to use the Campagnon Common Park on August 4th and August 5th from 3 to 8 p.m. for National Night Out. This was requested by Harold Magoon. Hi, do you want to state your name and address for the record,
Yes,
please?
I'm not Harold Lagoon. Delilah Rivera, 112A East Haverhill Street.
Great.
Okay, and there you have a listing. Monday, August 4th will be the citywide National Night Out that we would like to use the Common Park for. And then on Tuesday, the following day, will be all of the neighborhood block parties on our fight against crime, also including a motorcade with the police department and the fire department.
Great. I know we've all participated in the National Night Out events. They're a great way to reconnect with the neighbors and see folks, and I think it's a great thing that you guys do. The paperwork is in order. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant on this, or?
Yeah, just go ahead.
No, I was just gonna make a motion.
Oh, I just want to ask a question.
Please.
Yeah. Ms. Rivera?
Sure.
Hi. It looks like not all of the neighborhood groups are going to participate this year?
Yes. On Tuesdays is when they usually, do the block parties with the neighborhood
Right,
associations.
but not all of the groups?
That's on Monday. We all come together. We set up tables for every neighborhood
Okay, my question
association.
is, I don't see my neighborhood group,
Which one is that one?
Prospect Hill.
Prospect Hill. I noticed that when I was sitting here, but I did confirm that they are going to take part in this as well.
It's Corrido Park and it's not, that is in your district, 8.
Right, but my neighborhood association would normally participate, but are they doing one of the nights? I mean, I know on Tuesday, each neighborhood does one, Have you heard if they're going to be doing one?
Is this with Maria de la Cruz, or, no,
Gloria Schwartz?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay. And there are other,
Oh, okay, all right, so Jim Ross,
oh,
maybe-
Jimmy Ross?
yeah.
It's not on there, but it sounds like they're doing
Okay. Is doing at the Rollins School?
At the Rollins, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I guess other groups, then this list is gonna grow then?
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you, I'm sorry.
No, you're welcome, thank you, those are great questions. So, if anyone has any other questions for the applicant? Council Reyes, you were gonna say?
No, motion to approve and send it with favor recommendation?
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Just briefly, because I just want to go very briefly, document number 197-14 was the double poll locations, and Council Vasquez had that sent down, and I know that he's sitting here, so I just want to ask him quickly.
You're finished.
I'm all set, okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
Thank you. If he'd heard from National Grid on that at all.
Yes, good evening once again, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. I had an opportunity today to speak with Kathy Moore from National Grid about the double pole situation here in the city of Lawrence. And something that she asked to do is to come before us at a given point whenever we deem necessary, and she will give us an update as to the work that has been done. I did express my concerns to her about the fact that I've seen very little progress on my end. And she's more than willing to come. Very respectful woman. I think someone like her could help us a lot. I know that she has been very willing in the past, but I think now it's about time to see results. And if she's willing to provide results, I think that we should definitely invite her, probably for the next meeting coming up, and I will suggest and ask councilors to make a motion to send that correspondence. Yeah.
okay, I'll make that motion.
Do you want her to come to this meeting or to the full council? That was my question.
I think the full council will actually make sense.
Right.
Because
I thought this
I don't know if
stay at the full.
I don't know if other councilors might have questions about this
Right.
topic. And,
So would she be ready to come on June 3rd? Would that be enough time to invite her?
she said that she's willing to come anytime. June 3rd, that's our regular meeting. She said that she will be able to come whenever we're ready, so.
So are we ready? Does June 3rd make sense to invite her for that meeting? We can send the correspondence tonight? Or do you want to wait till the next?
Remember that we need a list so that we know exactly what we
Yeah.
are talking about.
She will be providing the list,
She will be providing?
yeah. She
Okay.
will be providing the
So
list.
she's going to bring the list that night that she's
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
with us.
So why don't we invite her for June 3rd then, if she's
Yeah.
bringing her own list?
Right,
Yeah.
and there's no budget and finance stuff happening that day, right?
No, June 3rd is a regular council
So,
meeting, yeah.
yeah, okay.
Will you make sure that Bill includes that in the agenda?
We'll send this,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
send this
send-
up,
yeah.
so that'll get it there.
Okay.
And also, CC Mr. McCabe if possible. I know that he has been the one working out on this issue with her.
Good.
So and I wanted to thank you, Madam Chair, for passing along the word to Kathy.
Well, she contacted me at like 8 o'clock the next morning, so.
I appreciate
No,
it.
I gave her the information, but yeah, no.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
So we're gonna send document number 197-14. There's really not a motion to make, but we'll send it up in the form of a committee report. We'll also send correspondence to Kathy Moore at National Grid requesting her presence at the June 3rd meeting.
Right.
And we're gonna copy Mr. McCabe in the Community Development Office, asking him to also be present at that June 3rd meeting.
So move.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor? Aye. Great, thanks, Counselor.
Thank you.
And I know one of your other items, since you're here, document number 138-14. Can I get a motion to take that off the table, please?
So move.
Motion's been made. Seconded.
Second, sorry.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Document number 138-14 is a block party. They're requesting to close Nesmith and Essex Streets on Saturday, June 14th, from 10:30 to 2:30. It was requested by Maggie Super Church and sponsored by Councilor Vasquez. The only reason we had tabled it was we were just waiting to make sure that they had confirmed with the auxiliary police. So I just,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be actually going to the police department tomorrow to make sure that this is all set.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind sending up to the full council, and everything should be, pending the.
Pending the,
So we send up with a favorable recommendation pending final police approval, is that okay?
Sure, I appreciate
Second.
that.
So motion's been made and seconded.
Yes.
You made it, you seconded it, great. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thanks, Counselor.
Thank you. Madam Chair, with all due respect, there are two other documents that I would like to take,
Sure.
have people waiting.
They're here for
We have people
157.
waiting for
Okay.
157-14, so can we take that first and
One, no, I think,
157-14?
If we could, because,
that was
Madam
too
Chair,
long.
I think we already lost people that were here for that discussion.
It's just that they've been waiting.
Yeah, no, I know. So what was your other item?
Yeah, it was 12713, which is a handicap parking. I know it's something that I put in 2013.
What page is that on?
3,
11713,
12713.
oh, 12713.
We're just waiting for a report back from the officer?
Yeah, that was,
27.
I'll
127.
promise you that we'll take that off at the end.
At the
and
end?
send him correspondence that we
Okay.
need it by the June 3rd meeting.
okay.
Wasn't this the handicap parking that they provided pictures that they
No.
was
No.
parking?
No,
No, that's
no.
different.
That's
That's
different.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
And the other one is 17713.
What page is that on?
177.
Same page, is also from
Same
July.
thing?
Yeah.
13, 17713.
Okay, I will make a promise to you, before we leave here tonight, we'll send correspondence to Officer Scanlon that we need those reports by June 3rd.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
you're welcome.
All right.
The moment we've all been waiting for. I know that Counselor Toomey,
He's in the
here.
back. He's in the back.
if you can hear us, Counselor Toomey, please come out. Document number 157-14 was with regard to rental inspections. This was put on the agenda by Mayor Rivera and Counselor Toomey and Counselor Almonte. I know that Mr. Blanchett had been here and Mr. Vega from the assessors and the inspectional services at our last meeting. And I believe they're here with us again this evening. Give us some updates. And I know some people from the public want to speak on this as well. Do you,
Good evening, councilors. Yes,
Evening.
we're ready to give a second presentation.
great.
You guys ready?
Great. So what we're gonna do is just, we'll watch the slideshow and then talk.
Okay.
We need to break this down.
I can do that. Do you wanna,
The light.
Pat,
That was easy.
make it look easy, it's really hard.
Thing.
There you go. No, no, yeah, that way.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. I'm just gonna, did you?
Can I see that pad of paper back?
has this been modified or no? It's just the same one we had before.
Of the audience needs a copy of the presentation. I have,
Si ustedes quieren una copia de la presentación,
Good evening, councilors. Peter Blanchett, 45 Greenfield Street, Lawrence. I'm a resident of the city, as you know, and I also serve as the building commissioner for the city of Lawrence. Mr. Vega, the city assessor, and myself are happy to be back here with a hopefully new and improved presentation for you. We've made some changes that were suggested. We provided, as you're going to see, some inspection checklists. We got a little bit more specific on the types of inspections that we'll be providing. The only thing that I cannot provide for you right now is Council President Maldonado had asked for some, a data list of the occupancies that we have done for the past year. Mayor Rivera has gotten me, or is working on getting me some assistance in doing that, and we're in the process of compiling that. So we will have that in the very near future. Alex, if you want to start, you can.
Do you want me to go? The rental inspection ordinance is intended to improve the city's housing stock, neighborhoods, and the safety of those who live and work in the city. We consider having a more proactive approach in maintaining housing, building, zoning, and assessment compliance would truly be a step in the right direction. The fee that will be imposed in the ordinance is about creating a new revenue stream to support the program, but the ordinance itself is aimed to address issues that have proven troublesome for some neighborhoods. That's okay. There are many values in the inspection program, and these are a few that we've highlighted for you. Through this program, we hope to mainly secure safety standards and also achieve the following: enhance public safety by ensuring rental units meet all city and state requirements, protect the character and stability of our neighborhoods, take preventative steps to avoid potentially unfit living conditions, prevent unit overcrowding, and preserve property values.
If I could just interject right there, the biggest part about this whole thing, in my mind, is to enhance the public safety of our citizens. I really think that that's the number one goal of providing safe housing for the city, not only for the people that live in those houses, but for the neighborhoods themselves. So I just wanted to reiterate that one point. Thank you. Okay, the next is securing of safety standards. Inspections are intended to assure landlords are meeting a minimum standard of quality. And under there, I have listed some of the main points of inspection that our inspectors will be doing. There is also a checklist that you're going to find at the end in the appendix, which outlines these in much more detail. But meeting these minimum requirements on the areas listed above or up there on the screen, these are all laid out by the state building code and the state sanitary code and our municipal codes, and including our zoning codes. And by ensuring adherence to these codes, we will ensure the health and well-being, and I keep going back to this, ensuring the health and well-being of the Lawrence residents. The performance of the building inspections is pretty simple. A fee would be made for the inspections. Inspections would be performed using the, well, we won't be using exactly, we'll be combining these checklists that are at the end I keep referring to and coming into a newer checklist. And these checklists are from the state building code and the City of Lawrence zoning ordinance and the state sanitary codes. If violations do exist, the owner is notified of a reasonable amount of time to come into compliance. If no violations exist or violations are abated, there is a certain amount of flexibility in determining the certification period and the fee amounts. However, many inspections are strictly regulated to 1 year. Inspections last between 15 minutes for smaller buildings to several hours to larger complexes. There'll be a certain amount of re-inspections we anticipate to go back. If there's non-compliance, we do have to go back before we issue a certificate of inspection to be sure that they were brought into compliance. And of course, there's a certain amount of clerical work that is going to be added to the staff. The inspection requirements. Inspections are going to be on a rotating basis, and they'll be conducted once every 3 years. The city will have a database, will contact you well in advance when it's time for your dwelling to be inspected. We have some units that are exempt from inspections, those, of course, that are operated by federal, state, or the city government, and any owner-occupied dwelling between 1 and 3 units will not be subject to this program. Owners, of course, can ask us for a quick inspection after their payment, and we'll facilitate them. Go.
The next slide is the program and funding and operations. In order to implement this program, we will need to create new revenue streams to offset the costs. To this end, we plan to implement a rental unit and registration process to help in tracking properties and inspections. The next few slides summarizes the scope of the work, the registration program, and the financial effect. The registration process: all owners of private rental units and condominiums must register no later than October 1st. Registration shall include property address, owner contact information, and number of units at each address. Owners will be able to register in person, by mail, or via the city website. Owners must also attest and affirm that they will abide by all rules and regulations that it pertains to the state and regulations and city regulations. I'm sorry.
That's my fault.
This slide speaks volumes on the fees that are scheduled out that the mayor is proposing and possibly implementing. As you notice, the registration for the first year is $25, and each subsequent year is $15. The inspection fee for anything lower than a 4-family is $100, and anything greater than a 4-family or greater is $200. For a property owner who does not comply with the registration, they will be fined or impose a fee of $100 per month. The bottom slide is the payment requirements. We have, the mayor has listened to the councilors and their concerns, and as you remember the last presentation that was provided, the only exempt status was for single condominiums and 2 families that were owner-occupied. The mayor felt that it was the best interest to also highlight the 3 families, so they will be exempt from the inspection fee.
Can you, if it's owner-occupied, was that it?
Yes, owner-occupied, single condominium 2s and 3 families. Anything that's not owner-occupied, regardless of the unit, will be imposed the inspection fee.
But they will still be required to have an inspection, or they won't be required?
My understanding is,
Those 2 and 3 family who are owner-occupied, but they rent 1 or 2 units above them, will they still be required to have an inspection?
You're right, just the 3 families though, Counselor. 3 families will be required to have their regular occupancy inspections when they renew.
But not a 3-year inspection?
That's correct.
the total housing stock of the city of Lawrence, again, those numbers are what we use when we submit the property values and classification for the tax rate in the city. So in FY 2014, the single-family homes were 4,254 units, condominiums were 1,438, 2 families were 2,535, and so forth and so on, and for a total housing stocks of 11,251 properties in the city of Lawrence in fiscal year 14. The properties to be inspected, our main objective is to inspect homes that are not owner-occupied. Below we have an assumptions on the property, number of properties to be inspected. And I believe the first year that we're going to be implementing or possibly implementing this program, we're going to be targeting, what is it, Peter?
It'll be about 1,500 properties.
Yep. On the right-hand side, you'll see about 1,500 properties per year. Just couldn't see it.
So we just quickly broke down the workload. This is pretty repetitive of last week. We took the working days, the goal of the performing these inspections. We're hoping 7 inspections per day to be performed. We anticipate to get to that goal, we would require 2 additional full-time staff or inspectors, and our cost estimates about $120,000 for 2 inspectors. This sounds low, but this is what we're looking to do to kick this program off. We could use 6 or 8 more inspectors, as you all know, but maybe if the program works out the way we anticipate, we could put 2 more on in future years, and then in a year after that, add to the staff as necessary.
And if I can just add, the 218 working days is the actual working days that are out in the field. It's not a regular yearly working schedule for an individual. We eliminated vacation time, holidays, weekends, sick time, and training. And obviously, when these inspectors go out in the field, they're going to have to report back to the commissioner, the mayor, city councilors. So that was also taken into consideration to determine the actual workload that the inspectors will be out in the field. The first year, we assumed that through the inspections, the city would generate $187,000. In fees alone, we estimate that we would bring in $309,000 for a total of $496,183. Our expenses, as we mentioned earlier, for 2 inspectors is $120,000 for a yearly net of $376,183 with a potential success rate. Obviously, we don't expect to be 100% for the owners to be in compliance or the city to. It's just not realistic to be 100%. We assume it will be greater during the next few years, but our net would be roughly $225,000. As you notice, in the 2nd and 3rd years, the fees go down because the registration also goes down. So we're looking at a net of $164,300. If in the need, and we mentioned to the mayor, if there is need for other inspectors or upgrade in software or other needs in the IS department, that the mayor is looking forward to making sure this is a top priority and not a revenue stream. Additional revenue may be possible via violations corrections. Obviously, some code violations, they have to take out a permit, and possible increase in tax assessments. That would mean if we go out in the field, or the ISD goes out in the field, sees a 2-family and it's an illegal 3-family, well, we're going to have to classify it as a 3-family, and that's where that tax assessment comes into play. And any abatement of zoning violations and health code violations.
And also, that bottom line is very important. It's not only for the additional revenue that might be coming in, but just getting these violations corrected and abated. We'll be out there on a regular basis, and that also adds to the quality of life of our neighborhoods and the health of our citizens.
Management of the funds, the discussions as it would be enterprise fund, but that is not the case in this program. The inspection program is intended to fund itself. Funds generated will cover the cost of performing the actual inspections and associated clerical work. Excess funds generated through the inspection program will be directly transferred to the city's general fund. Other information, the maximum per building will be $1,500, and then if it's 2 or more complexes in a site, the maximum fee would be $3,000. Owners with good reputation with the ISD may apply to opt out from the inspection requirement by submitting an application. ISD must submit written findings of approval or denial. timeline, if the council approves and the city implements this program, will be effective July 1st, 2014. Notices will go out of the new program to be released to the public. We intend to add information on the July 1st tax billing, put the information on the website and the local Eagle Tribune and the Spanish media and the Access 22 channel.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Sure.
Maximum per building of $1,500. What is that? Can you, what is the $1,500 for?
Yeah, that would be the registration. It's 25,
what?
the registration of the units will be $25, but if an individual owner has one complex on a site with, say, 80 units, we're gonna cap it out
1,500.
at 1,500. And then we have also properties that have multiple units, you know, they would be capped out at 3,000. And that'll be multiple buildings on one lot.
We went through this.
Actually, the registration will open August 1st, and we would close the registration on 10/1/2014. Anyone in non-compliance will be subject to a $100 fee each month that their properties are not registered. And these are the appendixes that were discussed in the beginning of the presentation. So I'll just leave that up there for a few seconds so folks at home can take a look at it. And the last slide would be the state inspection codes. It's very blurry to see, but we do have handouts, and this is on the website as well. And Peter can speak to volumes on these criteria. Yep.
This one?
Yep, the arrow, yeah.
When you look at the code, 410.201, temperature requirements, if the inspection, I'm assuming that that's for heat, am I correct?
I'm sorry, Counselor, please?
Code
The first one.
410.201, the first one,
Ye-
temperature requirements.
Yes.
I'm assuming that if you do an inspection in the winter, you're gonna be checking for heat temperature in the apartment.
Exactly.
Now, is that heat temperature requirement will be based only for landlords who provide the heat? Because if you're a tenant and you pay for your own heat, what are you going to inspect? The tenant is going to determine the temperature that they want.
That's correct.
So basically, this would be for people who provide the heat to the tenant.
Who are paying
Am I
for their
correct?
own heat separately from the rent, absolutely. That's basically just for, the landlord has, if he's paying for the heat, he has to keep it at 68 degrees X amount of months throughout the winter time to provide a habitable living space. If I can just go off a little bit before we go to questions, I just want to reiterate, inspections are not new. We all go through inspections. So many inspections. We require inspections for our barber shops, are state inspected. Our nightclubs and bar rooms are inspected on a yearly basis. Our food service people and our food stores are inspected on a yearly basis and permitted and licensed. We go, every year we're required to go and have our car inspected. The reason is to make sure that it's safe. The elevator out here in the City Hall has to be inspected every year. It's all about safety. This is one more thing, it's just another business that is kind of out there, left by itself. And I think this is a good way to go and pull these landlords in. Property ownership is a business, and it's just another business that we need to keep an eye on and provide proper inspections and make sure that our housing stock is safe. Thank you.
Chair. It might be a good idea to, since there are people that are here to, maybe they have questions that they want to ask, or
Bring it.
make a statement about the proposal. Si hay alguien que quiera hacer preguntas en relación a esta presentación o quieren hacer algún comentario positivo o negativo en relación a esta presentación, pueden venir al micrófono.
Hi,
Buenas noches.
can you please state your name and address for the record?
Mi nombre es Martina Arias. Sí, estaba
address?
escuchando
¿La
sobre...
dirección tuya, Martina?
¿Perdón?
¿La dirección donde vives?
288 La Farham.
Say it again.
¿Perdón?
Di la dirección otra vez.
288 Farham Street.
Thank you.
Farham.
Thank you very much.
Voy a hablarlo en español para expresarme mejor. I think it's Spanish.
She's going to help with me.
Ella te va a-
Okay,
te va a ayudar.
okay, thanks. Yo estaba escuchando sobre la propuesta que tienen ustedes.
I was listening to the proposition that you are
acerca de los impuestos que van a aumentar a las casas.
about the fees that they're going to be increased.
Yo considero que por favor tomen en cuenta de que supuestamente los landos, que son los dueños de la casa, en la cual realmente el banco, los verdaderos dueños, nosotros somos los intermediarios en la cual reunimos el dinero para
They want
pagarlo
to
al
bear in
banco.
mind that they are not the actual owners, but the banks are the owners, and they have fees to pay them as well.
Entonces los afectados de esto va a ser especialmente los inquilinos y nosotros también, los landos.
They're the ones who are going to suffer from having to pay more fees, are them as landlords and their tenants.
Porque los landos tienen que completar el mortgage de la casa.
Because they have to always struggle to pay the mortgage of the house.
Entonces, otro aumento más con respecto a los impuestos.
Now, an additional cost on top of the property taxes,
Nos vamos a ver obligados a entregarle la casa al banco porque no podemos más
we're going
con
to be
tantos impuestos.
obligated to turn the house back to the bank because they cannot afford increasing costs.
Entonces yo considero que tomen mucho en consideración que aquí en Loren hay mucha gente pobre que
That
tienen
you need to
trabajo por
consider
agencia
that there are a lot of poor people in Lawrence,
y pagan las casas reúnen varias personas o es decir viven muchas personas en una misma casa para poderla pagar.
that in order to pay for the house, there are many people who live in the house, and they share and contribute to meeting costs.
Aquí ustedes saben que es una ciudad bastante pobre que
It's a
si
city that is
tenemos
so
más impuestos
poor that if we have more fees to pay,
con respecto a la casa, pues sinceramente que
honestly,
vamos a tener que entregarle la casa al
they
banco
will
para que el
have
banco
to
haga
give
ya lo
back
que...
the house to the bank and walk away.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you ask how many buildings do you own in the city?
¿Cuántos edificios usted es dueña de cuántos edificios?
Yo vivo en un departamento de 3 familias. Tengo,
It's in a 3-family terminal.
en una de ellas vive mi familia, estoy yo, en otra vivo mi esposo, mis hijos y yo, y hay una sola persona, hay una que está alquilada a...
Right. She has a 3-family home where she lives in the first floor, her brother-in-law and sister live on the second floor. They don't pay rent, they're not renters, but part of the,
And she knows that with a three-family, there's no fees. If it's owner-occupied three-family, there's no fees.
dice ella que para la, they just rent the top floor to a single person.
Right, but if it's, yeah. So owner-occupied
Dice ella
three-family,
que si usted estaba enterada de que para las personas que son dueños de casa y viven en esa casa, sea de 3 familias, no tienen que pagar
as long
¿cómo
as
le
it's the
digo usted?
building that she
Impuesto.
lives in. If she lives in the building and it's 3 units or less, they just said it to us this evening that there's not a fee. So I don't think
No
this,
fee and no inspection, or?
my understanding is there's a no inspection fee. There would be, I mean, I'm looking at the chart, owner-occupied, inspection fee, none, unit fee, none. For owner-occupied, up to 3 units. If it's 4
Que
or more
todos
units,
ellos trajeron esto ahora, porque esta es nueva información. I just want to let them know, it's new information.
Yeah.
Because where she heard it was not here, she must have heard it
of
through
course,
radio.
yeah, yeah,
Right, so they were probably working with the original.
which was, yeah.
Right. La nueva información que trajeron el director de inspecciones y el señor de registro, el director de asesor, el asesor, ellos dicen que después que sea hasta 3 familias y el dueño viva en esa casa, en ese edificio, no se le cobra ese impuesto y no hay inspección.
No se le va, dice que no van a cobrar los impuestos que van a, que están.
Ajá, de 3 familias
Ajá.
para abajo.
If it's 3 or less and she lives there. If it's rental,
3 o
all,
menos, después que el dueño de la casa viva ahí, no va a haber ningún impuesto.
Aumento de impuestos
Ningún aumento, ni
para los dueños de la casa que viven en la casa.
si viven en la casa. Ahora, si usted tiene otra casa donde la alquila, entonces tiene que pagar eso.
Entonces, porque yo recibí una noticia de aumento.
Pues lo que ocurrió fue que la presentación original sí estaba para poderle ese impuesto, pero después de un diálogo que tuvimos aquí nosotros con ellos, ellos fueron y revisaron lo que nos habían presentado y vinieron con esta información y también hablaron con, you said you had a discussion with the mayor, right? Con el alcalde, y lo que salió de todo ese diálogo fue esta nueva presentación donde se está diciendo que después que el dueño viva en la casa, no se le va a cobrar. Ahora, si el dueño vive en la casa, pero tiene 4 familias, 5, 6, es grande, sí se le va a cobrar. Pero de 3 familias para abajo, no. So, esa es nueva información, por eso fue que usted oyó, lo cogió, porque la presentación original sí decía así.
Pues entonces lo que no entiendo es por qué recibí noticia del banco de que voy a pagar ya ahora más de lo debido.
Usted no tiene que pagar más, so no tendría que decirle nada al banco. She said, if I have to pay more, then I have to tell the bank.
No fees.
But I just said she doesn't have to because there
Con
won't
fecha
be.
y todo, ya. Me dijeron que tengo que pagar tanta cantidad de morgue.
Usted recibió un... Okay, tal vez, she has a question that I think, yeah, the assessor can...
yeah. The
Yeah,
assessor
but maybe it
talks-
might be a question, oh, she received something from us?
Maybe her property value went up, that might be different.
Maybe you should say it just for the benefit.
I believe what she's talking about is an escrow. She might have had an escrow shortfall,
Yeah.
and the bank is asking her for some monies or increase her mortgage. But I can definitely look at her paperwork and discuss it with her.
Right.
It's been happening lately, so it's not an issue. I think maybe there's some confusion, but I can talk to her.
Right. So eso es diferente. Ujú.
That has nothing to do with us.
Right. She's not, she's confused. Okay,
Thank you.
¿está bien? Ujú, ujú. Okay, ¿alguien más?
Sir, yeah, if you want to come up and state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Nelson Gonzalez, 19 Trenton Street. I'm very much in favor of this. For the simple reason, in addressing issues that have proven troublesome for some neighborhoods. And if you live where I live, I see illegal garages, I see illegal businesses. In front of me, I had a club for about 2-3 years. And a lot of things are going on in the city. If this inspection goes through, a lot of that is going to be eliminated. There's a lot of people out there who think they could do whatever they want in their homes, make additions, put people to live in the basements, which are uninhabitable, or just add on to the properties, something that I disagree with, and it's against the law anyways. I'm in favor of it, but I also have a few reservations, you know. And I'm concerned, assessment compliance. I'm concerned about that. Someone could go in, assessment compliance on purpose.
Compliance.
Tell me more. I'm not following what you're saying, sir.
What's your concern about it?
Purpose. Versus purpose?
Yep.
It talks here about assessment compliance.
Right, so if the property's assessed as having one bathroom, and just as you described, somebody went and put in 4 bathrooms, it makes the house more valuable, so they might not be in compliance with their assessment. You know, the assessors does,
So if somebody added on,
yeah,
is that what that applies to?
that's exactly what it's talking about, yeah.
So that doesn't mean because I pay my house better than the next guy, my taxes won't go up?
No,
Okay.
it's just if you,
You know, another question I had was,
you know, when you see it sometimes is people have their assessor's card, says they have 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Then they go to sell the house, they put it in multiple listings, it says it has 7 bathrooms, or 7 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, you know? You could-
I understand
Yeah.
that, but I'm basing that based on my property.
Yeah.
It's a 3-decker. It has 1,200 square feet per unit.
Do you own it? I mean, do you live in it?
I own it and I live in it. It's a
But you'd
3-decker.
be all set,
I
yeah.
don't have to worry about it because I could probably opt out, but I'm concerned still. You know, you have the guy 2 houses from me whose house is value under $40,000. You know, that's what that assessment is concerning to me.
Is, the property must be in deplorable condition if it's valued at $40,000.
Whatever the reason might be, you know, I question that.
Yeah.
And, you know, from what I've been told, there's nothing that can be done about it. And,
Well, this would, right now, we only have the right to go in and inspect when there's a formal complaint filed or when someone is getting an occupancy permit. So it's kind of addressing exactly what you're saying. Once every 3 years, we can get into the units and see what is wrong. Why is this assessed at $40,000? Is there no doors in the doorways? Is there, they don't have, without a warrant, you just can't go into people's properties unless somebody files a formal complaint. So this gives inspectional services that opportunity to go into properties once every 3 years for that inspection. So, you know, with that in mind, there's properties we haven't been into in decades because they haven't filed the proper paperwork when they're doing the occupancies. So this just gives a new tool to allow inspectional services to get into those units to hopefully rectify the exact situation you're describing.
I have another question.
Sure.
It's just a quick one. Mr. Blanchard here talks about it, it says here, he doesn't talk about it, it says here, that it's gonna, an inspector could go in and do so many inspections per day.
An inspection can go in and do what?
Inspectors could go in and do so many inspections per day.
Sure,
The new inspection, if it passes,
Yeah.
Is that something that's implemented as of now? Do you have a control of how your workers go out there? And I don't mean you specifically, I mean every head department. And, you know, knows about what their employee doing in an 8-hour period?
Yes, we are.
Is there something?
To the chair, may I answer?
Yes, please, if you wouldn't mind using the microphone, sir?
Come to the microphone.
Thank you.
We do, with the help that we have. You know, it's an uphill grind, you know, our tank is on empty in inspectional services. We need some gas, we need more inspectors to perform these types of inspections that are so important.
Peter,
in the mic.
I'm sorry. What I was saying is, I said that the inspectional services tank is on empty, and we need some more gas to assist us. A lot of these types of inspections we should be doing, we cannot get to them. We're doing the ones, the emergency ones, we're doing the occupancy permits on a daily basis, and while they're visiting these other places, they're doing the other inspections such as ticketing and everything. Basically, most of the time, if it's not someone that comes in and asks for an inspection to rent the property, we're putting out a fire somewhere else. This here would give us the initial means going forward to be more proactive in the inspection of these properties. And I hope that answers your question. I know that some people think that we don't do enough, and we do an awful lot of inspections on a daily basis, but there's only so many people to perform these.
I'm not questioning your integrity. What I'm
No,
questioning
I understand.
here is there's so many things that are going on out there that are so obvious, you know, and they just keep going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what keep going on. ¿Alguien más?
Anybody else?
Okay, we lost those guys before. We lost the guys that were out here, so.
I think anytime there's a new fee, it
Oh,
causes
yes.
concern.
It looks like somebody else back there was coming.
I think she just,
Usted venía a hablar. El señor que está ahí atrás.
they just want to
Oh.
listen, I think.
Okay, I thought they were coming to, I thought they were getting up. Okay.
Council, what are your thoughts? I know you had some questions last time.
Yeah. One of my biggest concerns, and I spoke to you guys before, is that this is going to be a new tax on a specific sector of the population, and that we should look for, rather than look for to raise money as a tax income, that we should look to maintain the integrity of the program, to be specific in terms of protecting the health and safety of the tenants or the occupants of the building. And I remember mentioning to you guys that maybe you should come with a second option as to basically cover the cost of doing the inspection rather than use it as a source of income. Okay? So that's my biggest concern. My other concern is that when an inspection is done, in addition to all the fees that are going to be charged, it's highly possible you're going to find possible violations that the landlord or owner may have to meet, and there have to be a more specific requirement on how long they're going to have to meet those, and there's going to be additional expenses that the owner is going to incur if they have to meet certain requirements and things like that. So it seems to me that if they are going to meet the standards, okay, they're going to have to spend probably a lot more money in addition to the fees. So that's what I am recommending, that you look into the possibility of reducing the fees so that it would be specifically to cover the costs of those inspectors that are going to do the inspection, rather than looking at it as a source of income for the city.
I beg to differ, Counselor. It looks like it's a source of income, and there is some income that's going to come to the city coffers, of course, but the reasoning for this is not to tax people or to create a revenue stream. We keep reiterating, the purpose of this is to get the inspections, which we're required to do by the state building code, to have the manpower to be able to perform these inspections. Just like any other business. Every other business is required to go through inspections, as I outlined earlier. All the bodegas have to come in every year and renew their licenses. We make money on that, yes, we do, but we do have the food inspector out there inspecting those places. We have one of the building inspectors inspecting the place. We renew liquor licenses every year, $2,200 just to renew the liquor license for these nightclubs, and then $200 for inspection from the building department, $200 inspection from the fire department. You yourself, every single year, you go down to the gas station, you have to pay $35 every year to get your car inspected. There's purposes behind this that are much more important than I don't think the revenue stream is the highlight here, and I don't think we should be looking at that. I think if we look at it as to be successful, if we can pull off a good first year and have even better than 60% turnover, show that we're making a little bit of a difference out there, or a big difference out there. I'll be back here next year asking you for 2, maybe 4 more inspectors.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say that, kind of on the note that Mr. Blanchett touched on, the anticipated cost for the program at the initial rollout is about $120,000 for 2 people, and realistically, maybe 2.5, because you're going to need a staff person to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets you to the 164. I mean, it seems like these costs just kind of cover themselves. Like, if you're looking at the annual projected revenues in the 160s, and the program's costing at least 120, just for the employees, never mind any additional admin or anything like that, I don't think people have extra money, don't get me wrong, but I don't think an investment of a few $100s, because owning property is a business, to make sure that everyone is in compliance. And I hear what you're saying. Like, I have constituents call me, I got cited because of a tenant, even when I think the tenant's wrong, I go with the landlord down to their office. You've always been very reasonable, but to say the actual deadline would be X amount of time, I don't know. Right now, if I walked into inspectional services and I had a violation for my apartments, what is the general turnaround time for you to allow me to cure that?
It has to be weighed out, Counselor. Emergency situations such as no heat, no water, no electricity has to be
those are
done
24
hours.
Yep.
Raw sewerage, et cetera, 24 hours.
Yeah.
Missing screens on the window could be up to 30 days.
Okay.
However, what happens is the timeline more or less ends up, unless we're called in for a violation by the tenant themselves. If we find these violations when we're going in to do an occupancy, when we're invited in by the owner to get this place, get an OP so that people can move into it, it transpires very fastly, because they have a tenant that needs to come in. So
They're
we would give them,
incentivized.
we leave them a list of things that they need to do, whether it's, put proper door locks on, take door locks off the doors inside, screening, broken glass, that type of thing. They become repaired very, very quickly because the tenant is waiting for move-ins. Also, too, we don't usually, we don't hold the owners up on, something minor either. We might allow them, they're trying to get people in, we might allow them partial occupancy. Well, the tenant needs to move in, they're trying to get their furniture out of the other apartment. We'll give you a temporary to start getting their furniture in and start getting moved in while they're bringing the rest of the apartment up into compliance. So, but yeah, it does vary, but, and it varies just on how bad the violation is.
Thank you.
You know, I agree with you that, that every unit in the city should meet minimum standards. I don't have any objection on that. My objection is that there's going to be a net profit, okay? And if we are concerned about health and safety, and we are going to ask people to make changes, to make adjustments, to make repairs that are going to cost additional money, okay, then I think we should reduce that net profit to simply, so that we can cover basically the cost of the inspectors that are going to create a safe environment. Okay, and that's basically my biggest objection, that we should not use this as a source of income for the city, because that would be an additional tax that would be distributed unfairly to certain sectors of the population. You know, that's my biggest concern.
Again, I just want to reiterate, Councilor, from my point of view, and I think Mr. Vega's point of view, that, and we've worked very hard on piecing this together along with Mr. Vargas in the mayor's office. We don't see this as a tax. The landlords, as been said several times before, operate a business. Sometimes there's a cost to doing business, and if they're doing everything that needs to be done properly, operating their apartments, most of these costs won't incur. The yearly fee that they'll be paying for registering is a huge help to us. We'll be able to keep a file. We'll know who owns these properties. If we have a problem, we'll know who to contact. If there's a fire, we'll know who to contact. Just the upkeep on that, just the registration alone is huge. You go into school and you have to register every single year. Why? So the bursar's office and the personnel office knows who you are, where you're from, and all your credentials. And that's all we're looking to do. There might be added costs, too, coming down the road, Council, that we might need some of those funds for. We don't take into consideration too much in this presentation the need to repeat inspections, and those things come in too. And that comes out of our own budget, whereas it's a loss of our personal time when our inspectors should be doing other inspections, and they have to repeat going back and back. So some of those costs, it's the first year, Councilor. The money part, as I said earlier, isn't really my forte. I'm here to get the inspections done. I'm here to help provide this city with some safe housing and to improve our housing stock, make our neighborhoods better, and I think that's the concern of this whole council, and I truly understand exactly where you're coming from. All we're asking tonight, Councilor, is I think we put together a very good program here. It's been very well thought out. I think we're going to get some support from the community, and I think we're going to get some drawback from the community. Let's find out. All I'm asking is for a recommendation to move this up to the council so we can move this along. We're anxious to get started.
Now, again, I think it is important to emphasize that this program does not exclude the requirement of occupancy permit.
That's correct.
Okay? So that people will still, every time in an apartment, whether they have 2 or 3 units and whether they are owner-occupied, they will still have to pay an occupancy permit fee of $75.
They would pay the occupancy fee each time they rent it, so that we can go in and make sure that the place is suitable for the new tenant. However, if Mr. Toomey has a property and Mr. Toomey comes into me and we know that he's on file and he's always has his occupancy permits, he always keeps his property up, he'll still register his 3 dwelling units at $15 a piece every year for a total cost of $45, but he can choose to opt out on his inspections. If we're comfortable with the way he is keeping his property, or if he has another inspector, a private inspector that he wants to show us every 3 years that the property is up to code, we will accept that also.
It is also important to understand that single families and condo units that are not owner-occupied will be subject to inspection.
Single families,
Single families and condo units that are not owner-occupied.
not owner-occupied.
Are subject to the same
Right, I believe
requirements.
that's in there. Yes, yes.
Okay.
You know what, Councilor Cheney's been raising his hand for,
I had my hand up 3 times.
hey, Councilor Vasquez, and I'm gonna come back around.
Just a few observations, and I think I might have mentioned this the last time we got together, that the initial, I understand that 2 families and 3 families are exempt from the fees, but it might not be a bad idea for initial inspection to inspect all 2 and 3 family homes. Just because of the fact that some of the 2 and 3 family homes that are going to be exempted could be 4 and 6 family homes. You won't know that unless you go in and inspect them. Just on the initial inspection.
No, I think it's a good point, Counselor, and it's a very good thought, and it's something that we did think about. We really don't see, we don't see that need at this point. If we get to a good point where we're getting the ones that we think need to be inspected more consistently, if we get to a good point where we do that, we could actually, think about 2 families. But when we look at through the city and where most of our violations come from, and they don't usually seem to come, especially for living conditions and housing conditions, we don't usually see them from, most 2 families you'll see on the chart there are owner-occupied. And if the owner is in the house, they tend to take care of their property. They're living there. You can see from the setup that we have, we're looking for the more problematic, or the ones that tend to be more problematic, and those tend to be building units, buildings with dwellings in them that are not owner-occupied. And so that's why we concentrated on just them at this time.
Also, I'd like to read a little statement I wrote. I'll tell you the reason why afterwards. There seems to be some confusion about the document that we're discussing this evening, which is sponsored by Mayor Rivera, myself, and Councilor Lamarty, and is being definitely misrepresented on radio programs. I've received several phone calls from constituents who have a concern about their taxes being raised, which they say also would affect their tenants. And these people that called got this information from listening to radio programs. For instance, one gentleman who owns a 2-family home, is owner-occupied, believed that he would be affected, and he wasn't. So this information that's being broadcast over radio programs is incorrect. But I did tell them this is not etched in stone, and that it was on the planning stages, and to please come to this ordinance meeting this evening and to learn more about this proposal. And some of these people did, and I'm glad that they're here for us to hear what they have to say.
That's important. Thank you, Councilor.
Again, thank you very much, Madam Chair, for giving me the opportunity to speak. This is a very important topic that we're discussing here tonight, and I do have a few pointers or more, I will say more like questions of things that I don't have clear yet. We were presented with a timeline, and it basically says when the program will be released to the public, when the registration opens and closes, but it doesn't say when the possible inspections are supposed to start. So if this was to pass, at the council level, we only know when the registration opens and closes, but when do inspections actually begin? We wouldn't have it.
We anticipate the inspections to begin as soon as the registrations and the applications for inspections are received. And we're going to take them as they come in on a rotating basis, and that's how we're going to build up to the 3-year cycle. So we'll have so many done in each year of the 3 years, and then that cycle will repeat itself after 3 years. So if everything goes well, and we do have the manpower to perform these inspections. We have our ducks in order as far as our forms and our registrations, and we reach out to the property owners in a timely manner. We'll start these inspections before the end of July, Councilor.
Okay, so now, that brings me to a follow-up question, and I'm glad that you have brought it up. It's the properties to be inspected based on the presentation given to us. It says that it's a total of 4,482 properties, potentially, that could be inspected. I know that it's an assumption that is being made as to the percentage of absentee landlords that we have in the city. I think that the number is actually different than what has been presented. But within the first, if we're going to be inspecting and someone registers today, if the yearly inspection that we're expecting is 1,494, in reality, it's 4,482, because what if 4,482 people come to the inspectional service office? They all register. That means that we need to schedule 4,482 for that given year. Or are we going to schedule 3 years in advance? Because it says that the yearly inspection is only 1,400, but in reality, we have 4,400 that will be inspected. We don't have the manpower to do 4,400.
You're right, but we do, we have to take this as it flows. As I said, we're going to be taking the requests for inspections and the applications for inspections in, and we're going to schedule them, as we go. I don't know if I get, 4,000 applications in July. I don't know when number 4,000, when they're going to be inspected. They might not be inspected till the following July, or they might not be inspected till January. But we'll take them in on a rotating basis and get to them. It's going to be a little bit troublesome, I think, at first, is what you're bringing up. Yes, it is in the first year, maybe the first year and a half. But once we get on the proper cycle, now you register with me, Counselor, on July 5th, let's say. So I schedule you for an inspection. Maybe I had 300 before you, so I schedule you sometime in September. Your next scheduled inspection is 3 years from that date of inspection, not from the date that you...
No, and I think that makes perfect sense, but this is the thing. Let's say, hypothetically, it does pass. All residents or all landlords will have up to October 1st to register, because if they don't register, then there's going to be issued a $100 fine, meaning that we will be expecting 4,482 to register prior to October 1st. So that's what, if all landlords know, oh, look, if I don't do it, I will get an extra fine. So I might as well just do it early because it already passed. So 4,000, we have to expect 4,482, because otherwise people will get a fine, and we have to shoot for, what seems to be more realistic here. People are not going to want to get an extra $100 fine. So with that said, we will not have the manpower, because we're determining that the full-time employees required will be 2 inspectors. And based on the calendar, it says that, and I will read it out loud once again. It says the calendar has approximately 218 working days, with an ultimate goal of performing 1,494. So we will fall short 3,000 inspections within the first year alone. So the city will not be able to comply with what we're proposing.
I just don't...
This will require roughly 7 inspections per day to be performed. In the first 2 months, we get 4,000 people to come. We won't get it done within the first year.
And Councilor, we're not expecting to get 100% of the 4,000 that's presented in front of you. For instance, in Boston, there's 180,000 units. They have 5 inspectors. Their completion timeline is 33%. So they expected to complete 33% of the 180,000 units in a 5-year cycle. So if they visit 33% in 1 year, they don't have to do anything else for that unit for the next 5 years, unless there's a compliance issue or an occupancy permit. So our objective in the first year would simply be Of the 4,000, 33%. That's why we divided the parcels to 1,400 and some odd units. So the commissioner's department will be responsible for the 1,400 units that 1 year and not visited again if there's no issues for the next 3 years. So we're rolling it out for the next cycle, for the next 1,400 units.
So then that means that the remaining 4,000 buildings that do not register within this time period shouldn't be getting issued a fine of $100 because the city's already telling, we're only going to do 1,400, 3,000 will not be done. So 3,000 homeowners are going to say, why should I register? I'm not going to be done within 2 years, so I'll register within a year. So how are we going to know if people, we can only take 1,400 now. So 3,000 landlords might as well just say, I'm not going to register because it's not going to impact me. However, no one's going to come and do an inspection.
Nobody's
have we
got-
thought of that?
That's like saying only 7% of people get audited when they pay their taxes, so I'm not gonna pay my taxes because I probably won't get audited. Like, everybody has to pay their taxes, and then 7% of us are going to get audited. So saying everybody has to register, and each year 33% are gonna get checked. I think that's very reasonable, and I think that's a pretty common system that most government agencies use.
What if during that period, I decide to sell my property? So I come in, I register today.
Yeah.
Excellent. Would I get a reimbursement because I'm selling my property within 3 years? 3 years, a lot could happen. What if I decide, that I'm going to purchase another property, and then that property was already inspected? Am I going to have to register once again for that property that now belongs to me?
Probably,
So it's like there's many questions here that I don't think that are necessarily answered. What will happen within the first 3 years of the project? I sell my house. And I already register. Am I gonna get my money back?
There is a
No,
provision.
You're not. Let me tell you that right now, nobody's getting any money back.
So if that's the case,
there is
then why not wait until I know that I will get the inspection, because then I will be throwing money away.
You're not,
Yeah, it
just
will
like
be
you have to
thrown away.
register your car, you have to register it, you have to pay the fee.
Yeah, but
That's-
I'm utilizing it right away, and I know that I'm getting what I'm paying for. But here, I'm going to be registering for something that is to be done within some time in the next
Well, it
3
also
years.
kind of touches back to what Councilor Maldonado was saying earlier, is that sometimes there's repairs that need to be made, so you register right away, as you're required to do. Maybe you are grateful for the extra time, because you're thinking, gosh, I need to buy screens, and that's expensive, so having this extra year is gonna allow me to get the money to buy the screens or things that I need to do. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here. This is something that is done in other cities and towns. I think there's 4 cities in Massachusetts that are doing it. It's the 4 larger cities, which we are on the lower end of the larger city scale, but, we're there. But I don't think it's outrageous to say they're not gonna get to every single unit every single year, and I don't think anyone's gonna get their money back. I mean, that's not how these programs work.
No, and I understand the rotation cycle, but I'm saying for the original registration, we will not be able to comply. As a city, we're gonna fail. We're not gonna comply.
We're not gonna fail, that's the wrong word. We are
We
gonna
won't- we
get
won't
everybody
comply.
registered, so that's a success. And we're gonna review 33 units, or 30% of the units, so that's a success. And the next year, we're gonna get up to 66, and by the third year, we're gonna get to 100, so that's a success. I think when we talk about things in terms of failure, we're setting ourselves up to fail. We're saying, I don't want this program, I don't wanna pay extra money, so I'm gonna call it a failure. I think that's a mistake. I think we need this program. We have many landlords that are excellent. We have many landlords that choose to skirt around the system with putting locks on every single bedroom door and sub-renting them out. That's illegal. The only way we're gonna get in there to prove that those are there is having a rule like this on the books.
No, and I agree. I applaud the intention behind it. I think health and safety should be our #1 priority in the city, but it shouldn't be just for, landlord, properties that are owned by landlords and are not owner-occupied. We also have a lot of homeowners that do live in properties, whether it is a single-family, a condominium, or whatnot, that have tons of violations. And I think that if we're going to do it for a section of the city, it should be done for all, because not everyone treats their property with respect, and that's something that we have to be definitely aware of. So I'm happy that my point, it's understood here that we won't comply. Now, with the full-time employees that we are talking about, we're estimating 2 inspectors, $60,000 each. Is that a base salary?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not considering here vacation time, holiday time, insurance. Are they gonna be a member of a union? Retirement, dental insurance, administrative costs and supplies that is gonna go beyond. So we're not talking about $120,000 expenditure.
Right.
We're talking about beyond, but what we're being presented as a revenue and expenditure, it's only, $496,000 for revenue within the first year, but $120,000 of expenditure within the first year. I don't think that will be the case. It will actually be way beyond beyond what has been
I
presented.
agree with you, and I think that kind of touches on what, again, Council Maldonado was talking about earlier, was try to lower the fees. I don't think we can go any lower. $15 a unit is extremely low. I think it's like, Boston, I believe, is $75 a unit. So it's $15 a unit, freakishly low, which is great. I think it's a real service to our landlords, but I think to go any lower, we're barely covering our own costs, as you just said.
But I feel that if we are
How can we go any
presented
lower?
something, we should be presented with more realistic numbers. I know $60,000 base salary, I think someone deserves it as an inspector. They're going to be doing a very difficult job, going into people's homes. It takes, I think the base salary will be reasonable. But how about everything else that I just mentioned, vacation, holiday insurance, dental insurance, retirement? Are they members of a union? Are there going to be contractual agreements that we're going to have to increase our salary year after year? And what are the administrative costs and supplies behind it? I think that if we're going to be passing something, we should have as much realistic numbers as possible before we make a decision, because $120,000 is not a realistic number today. I don't think that it encompasses what is truly going to cost the city to run this program. It is saying, I don't have the page in front of me, but I know that it says that okay, right here. The inspection program is intended to fund itself. Based on this $120,000, yes, it is. And there will be a net profit at the end of the year. But I don't think that the number is realistic. And that's my personal thought.
Councilor Reyes has really been.
No, answer, go ahead. Finish.
And, okay, I forgot the other sheet of paper that I had. But I think that the points that I'm bringing up, they're concerning, because we don't have, first, again, just to summarize it,
Ma'am,
we
why
don't
don't you
have a
come sit in
real
the front row?
timeline. We're not going to be able to comply, and we don't have currently realistic numbers. So those are the three key things that I'm discussing tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blanchett. I know that you put a lot of work into this.
Thank you, Councilor.
I'm going to let Councilor Reyes ask her question, and then I'm going to defer to this nice lady in the pink hat.
Well, the question that I have is basically the same that Councilor Vasquez was asking. Who's going to be chasing the people who doesn't get registered? And what is going to be the consequences if they don't get registered? Is going to be any fee, or what is going to?
$100 a month.
Oh, okay.
There's $100 a month. We won't have anybody actually going out and policing those folks. We're going to rely on the way we come across people now that are occupying without occupancy permits or working without permits. We're going to fall upon them and stumble upon them at some point. We'll also be using the fire department when they go and do some of the larger ones, like the 4 families, the 6 families. Fire department's required to go in on a yearly basis for their fire alarms. So we'll be relying on them to check with us, be sure that they've been registered and stuff. And if I could just touch back, does that answer your question, Councilor?
Yes, I know that you had been putting into a lot of hours just putting this together, and I don't know if you feel comfortable with the suggestion that Councilor Vasquez was just made, like it put a realistic number together so that way people get more comfortable with, because what I can see and what I feel is that is many people who need to be informed how this is going to go, how it's going to work, how we're going to implement it, and how we're going to get what we are looking behind this project.
Yes, those are very valid questions and very valid points that Councilor Vasquez brought up. And if I could just answer one question that you did have about, suppose you sell the place, you're going to get a refund. We do have a provision in there that you can request an inspection within 30 days. So if you know you're going to sell it, nobody has inspected it, you can call us up and we'll make arrangements to be sure that you get your property inspected before that 30 days is up and get your $100 worth or whatever we'll be charging for that. My other point is, those are good points, Counselor. I'm just afraid that if I don't want to see this kind of dawdle here in this committee. I think we can provide, the administration, when we report back, can provide different numbers if they feel that they're necessary. And, but all I would like is to, whether it's favorable or unfavorable, let's throw this up before the full council, have a huge discussion on it, get the public hearing in. We know that we're going to have both pro and con come in here, and we can go back and forth, about how we're going to do this, how we're going to do that. The real people that we're going to be affecting, your constituents out there, let's give them a shot to come in and speak on it, and then the council can deliberate and move forward from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This poor lady's been waiting extremely patiently. Ma'am, would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Buenas noches.
Motion's made,
Second.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Yo no hablo mucho inglés, pero quiero hablar en español, por favor, que me traduzca alguien.
She said she speaks a little English, but she'd rather speak in Spanish.
That's okay, if she can just say her name and address, so that would be great.
Su nombre y dirección, por favor.
Baje el micrófono un poquito, acérquese al micrófono. Ajá, ok.
Mi nombre es Elvira Ramona Sosa. Yo vivo en el 18 de la Birch y tengo una casa de 2 familias.
El 18 de
Birch,
Birch.
B-I-R-C-H, Street Lawrence. Yo pienso que sí ustedes han hablado, pero yo pienso que no entendí bien que dijeron que la casa de 3 familias para abajo, o que vivía al landlord, no iba a pagar. O si las 2 familias, no entendí bien. Yo quiero que por favor me expliquen otra vez.
She did not understand well the reasoning that 3 families and below will not be paying. So she's asking if we could
Sure.
please clarify that once
Of course,
again.
it's not all 3 families, it's owner-occupied 3 families. So if you have a 3-family and it's not owner-occupied, it will not be exempt. It has to be owner-occupied, and that's because traditionally, properties that are owner-occupied have a much lower rate of complaints and a much lower rate of issues because the owner lives there, they're more attentive. So it specifically exempts owner-occupied 3 families, 2 families, and 1 families, and only if they're owner-occupied.
Que de 3 familias para abajo, siendo 3 familias, 2 familias, 1 familia, después que el dueño viva en esa casa, no se le va a cobrar impuesto, como usted le estaban diciendo. Pero la razón es porque tradicionalmente se ha visto que donde no está el dueño de la casa no la mantienen bien, sino que abusan de ella.
Sí.
Pero si el dueño vive en la casa, ellos han visto que la casa la mantienen mejor y no hay tantas violaciones. Por eso es que han decidido que de 3 familias, 2 familias y 1 familia, donde viva el dueño de la casa, no se le va a cobrar. Pero si son dueños de otras 3 familias, otras 2 familias o otra 1 familia que alquilan, sí se le va a cobrar.
Yo solo hacía esa pregunta porque yo pienso que la ciudad de Loren, la mayoría de gente somos pobres. Aquí vivimos gente muy pobre. Yo vivo aquí en este pueblo desde 1986.
She wants to know why Because the majority of the people here are poor who lived here since 1986,
Y yo,
at least since
Why what?
1986.
desde 1994, yo siempre tengo casa. He tenido casa aquí. Pero,
Ajá. Usted está preguntando por qué le van a cobrar a las
¿Por qué?
personas que son dueños que no viven en esa casa.
sí, pero yo pienso que ¿por qué incrementar más tasas? Donde ya nosotros estamos hasta aquí.
She says she don't understand why we have to introduce any more programs or any more fees when they're already up to here with the fees.
El agua,
The
incrementaron
water.
el agua, incrementaron los tases. Y con las inspecciones de la casa, aunque yo
And
vivo en la mía,
Investments in the homes.
yo vivo en la casa mía.
She
Mía
lives
no,
in her
mía
own
y
home.
del banco, porque esas casas no son mías. Digo lo mismo que la señora ahorita, mía y del banco.
She said mine and the banks.
Y lo otro que le quería saber es que ustedes saben que la ciudad de Lore vendió casa vieja, deteriorada, bien acabada, porque son casas bastante viejas. El mismo día que entre una inspección a una casa de Loren, pueden decir que va para demolición, porque la mayoría no nos preocupamos de arreglar algo, pero aquí hay personas que han comprado una casa sobregirada del precio, y yo te aseguro que le han hecho muy poca cosa porque no han podido arreglar, porque tienen que enfocarse en pagar un mortgage altísimo, en el agua, en
She
los
said
taxes.
that there are people that buy homes and that those homes are already deteriorated, but they can't right away fix it because it takes time to fix it.
Porque el mortgage es demasiado alto, compraron sobre
Mortgage is so high
Y en-
because of the value of the neighborhood, the properties in that neighborhood.
entonces encima de eso los taxes y el agua, que es demasiada alta.
This is already too much, the taxes and the water fees.
Entonces yo pienso que están llevando los ciudadanos de Loren a que o le dejen la casa al banco o que se muden o que venga otra gente con más dinero y la compre, porque pues,
She said all this is going to accomplish is that people are going to leave whether they live in it or not, because they can't make the investments to fix it as quickly as they would like, and they would have to abandon it to the bank. And the only other thing that can happen is that people will come from the outside that have money in here to buy it. Gentrification, in other words.
yeah. And eso es lo que va a pasar. And that's what's going to happen.
And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, because, porque es que nos llevan a donde ya no podemos soportar. Porque lo sube todo.
The city is taking us to where we can't
Pero
tolerate things anymore.
Okay.
Los salarios de nosotros no
I need to
cambian.
ask her a question.
Yeah, our salaries are not
Okay.
great.
Mine isn't either, trust me. My question is, how many buildings do you own in the city?
¿Cuántos edificios, usted es dueña de cuántos edificios?
Yo soy dueña de uno. Pero
What was
¿De
the
qué?
answer?
¿Qué
yo
fue?
soy dueña del edificio, de la casa que yo vivo, de 2 familias nada más.
So
Pero-
she-
Our own two-family home.
So your
Pero-
two-family wouldn't be affected by this?
Yeah, but they affect my other people, my other neighbor.
I
And I'm
says
worrying
her
about
neighbors
them.
will be affected.
I'm worrying about them. I don't worry about much about me. I'm worrying about them. There's so many people living here for so many years.
Pat, can you just speak more slowly? You're going
Okay,
so fast,
I'm
I can't
sorry,
hear
I'm
you.
sorry, I'm sorry. But listen, I have so many friends and neighbors here. They live for so many years. They working hard to make a lot better. And now, I think everybody had to get her pocketbook and her family and go home for Loring. Because now we working for Loring and we clean Lorings and now I'm sorry the what I'm gonna say, but the people make us to go because we can't pay, we can't afford
You don't have
it.
to pay.
Yes.
Right, there's no
because-
fee for you to pay at all for this. It's two-family, there's no fee for you.
Yes, I know, but like I say, I don't worry about me. I worry about my other family. I worry about my neighbor. And I worry about the people in Lawrence. I live in Lawrence for so many years, and I love Lawrence. and we working together to be Lauren better. To be Lauren lo que they are now. Because in 1986, 1984 and 1983,
Yeah.
nobody, Andover people, I'm sorry because I speak loud, Andover people, they don't like to cross from Lawrence because they scare us. And they say that Lawrence is very dirty. And we're working for that. We're working for changes that.
What's she talking about?
But please help. Help.
In 1983,
What she's
Andover people
talking
didn't
about
want
is
to come
she's
here because it
making,
was
she's
dangerous?
advocating not to approve this program because although it doesn't directly affect her, it affects her family and it affects friends. And even though people have been making investments into owning properties, they're not rich.
Right.
I understand that, but it's like, if single, 2, and 3 family homes are exempt, which
Yes.
we have a lot of them in the city, and the owner occupied, you know, unless they have problems within it.
Yeah. I'd love to
That's
make...
just, that's her
That's her
opinion.
opinion, and she's free to voice
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay.
What did he say?
Él estaba diciendo que no entiende por qué usted no quiere este programa, porque no va a afectar personas que son dueños de casas de 2 familias y de 3 familias o de una familia, que si no lo más afectados van a ser esas personas que son dueños de edificios más
That's
grandes.
the point. That's the point. That's the bigger problem. Because I know I have a 2-family house. My son live in a second and I live in the first floor. But like I said a few minutes ago, I'm not waiting about me because I know how am I going to pay. I waiting about the Lawrence family and Lawrence neighbor. I have so many
But
friends there.
everybody now understands that you're expressing
Yeah.
your opinion.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah, I say
All right,
thank
so
you.
we wrote it down, and it'll be on the record that that's how you feel. How's that?
Thank you, and I'm sorry because I speak loud, but I say thank you because you help me to understand because I don't speak much English. And
You're welcome.
my voice affect any year.
We all
Anybody.
talk
I
loud.
want you
People
please.
think I'm fighting when I talk sometimes too, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, because cuando yo me emociono, yo hablo alto.
See,
Le
she
pido
says when
disculpas.
she feels emotional or passionate, she speaks loud, but she's not yelling at us.
No, that's good. I just needed her to slow down, because I knew she was speaking English, but she's going so fast.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I know Council Maldonado had a couple quick questions for Mr.
Yes.
Blanchett, and then I'd like to wrap this up, because it is
Okay,
late.
I'm not gonna ask any questions today.
Owners with a good reputation with ISD may apply to opt out from inspection requirement by submitting an application. ISD must submit written findings of approval or denial. What were ISD defined as owners with a good reputation?
That would be an owner, like Mr. Toomey, let's say, that was pretty faithful in coming in and getting his occupancy permits, when they're due. No violations on file for the previous 3 years. We would be looking at that. We haven't conjured up a questionnaire or a form yet to approach that. I presume because it will be a city form, that will eventually come before council at some point anyway for approval. But, yeah, it's
So
basically,
okay, so let me understand.
Sure.
Any owner who has, on a regular basis, has complied with having the occupancy permit and has not been cited for any violations before, would be able to submit an application so that they would not be required to do an inspection. Am I correct?
that's correct.
Okay. Would they be charged the fee of $100 or $200?
No, they'll be charged for their registration fee for the apartments in their rental units, but if there's not going to be an inspection, we wouldn't be charging for the inspection. We would, I think the way we would look at that, Counselor, is we would count on the regular occupancy inspections that would be done,
Okay.
Or we might rely on maybe going up to a 5-year, or we might ask the owner to provide us with a inspection report from their own inspector.
Okay. My other question is, when I saw your list of, your checklist.
Yes, sir.
Of things that will be inspected, I saw screen doors. When you inspect a three-family, which screen doors are you going to check for? Outside doors, main entrance doors, or are you going to check for screen doors on the entrance of an apartment, for each apartment, front and back, et cetera, et cetera?
Screen doors for let's say, a four-unit or a 3-unit?
No, let's say a 3-unit.
Okay.
A 3-floor unit.
Right.
Which we have a great number of them.
So
On screen doors, are you going to be checking for screen doors on each apartment, back and front of the unit? Also, the main entrance of the building and the rear entrance of the building? What are you referring to in terms of screen door? Because obviously there is a checklist that probably needs to be clarified and defined as to how much is going to be required.
The checklist.
If I own a 3-unit.
Let him answer the question.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you asked it. He's going to answer it.
To start with the screen doors, first of all, screen doorways that enter into a common hallway, common areas, such as when you go in before you go up the stairs. The screens aren't required for that. The screen doors would be anything that exits outside from your particular apartment, and those would only be confined to maybe you go out to the back porch or you go out to your front porch, which is different than going out your regular entrance door and down the stairs and then out the regular entrance or exit door. Okay, so it would be confined to the personal residents themselves. Also, that checklist isn't so much to be used as for someone to take with them and go through, and because it's all consuming there. Those are all the things that we could possibly have to look at. That's why we rely on certified inspectors to go in and do that. They might not have to look for screens on certain areas. They would know that. Maybe the landlord didn't know that, but he's not to go by that checklist. We can advise them. We hope to come up with some more. I passed out some paraphernalia that we brought out. We're working on some other handouts, particularly for homeowners and landlords, for the types of things, the general things that we're going to be looking at. We're also working on some paperwork like that in handouts to give to residents, things that they should look at before they actually move into an apartment.
Okay, so a 3-family unit, main entrances into the common hallways, and any doors that goes out into a front or back porch will require a stone door.
Right, from the apartment themselves.
Okay.
Just to kind of touch on that, the list I'm looking at from the inspection checklist looks like it's straight out of the state building code for sanitary inspections. So this is not like something that you guys made up. It's something that the state provides to landlords.
Actually, I don't think they're provided to the landlords, but these are best practices. These are from working with other cities and towns, looking at what they use for checklists and taking the best out of it. We basically took, on the building code side, we took anything that deals with residences and occupancies as far as safety and health and safety and fire safety. And on the state sanitary code, we basically went right through the whole code, and there's a spot in there for just about everything that's included in the state sanitary code. That doesn't mean that it would necessarily pertain to your particular apartment.
Okay, thank you. I hear some new questions being asked, which seem legitimate, but I do feel like these gentlemen took a very thorough program 2 weeks ago, really reflushed the whole thing to the next level, that it is extremely thorough. I think most programs that we approve are not to this level of detail. I mean, I hear people saying that they'd like to table this till we get more answers, but I mean, the whole point of having a public hearing is to get the final answers. I think if we sent it up now, it's only gonna get there on June 3rd. We're gonna order a public hearing on June 17th. I think that gives them plenty of time to get those answers back to us before June 17th. Because what's gonna happen is we're gonna get into the summer. We're only gonna meet once or twice all summer long, and now we're into September. And then to adopt this program in September and to try to have that October deadline in our minds is not realistic for that department, it's not realistic for the property owners in the city, and then it's a year that we didn't adopt this program. Even if we send it up without a recommendation, I'd rather send this up now with specific questions to be answered before June 17th hearing, than not to send it up, because I just feel like it's gonna sit here forever.
Oh, then we can send it up with our recommendation, obviously. But I think that we need, you see,
So-
we make assumption that every homeowner gets this list, and that is not the case. This is my first time that I have ever, and I own property, but this
Sure.
is the first time that I ever see this list,
Yep.
okay? As a homeowner, have you ever seen this list before? No. So we cannot assume that people out there have a list in their hands of every minimum requirements, every minimum standards that they are required in
Sure.
their apartments. A lot of people, I would say that the majority of people that own property in the city of Lawrence probably don't know, okay, all these requirements that are basic standards.
You need a good real estate attorney, and I know an excellent one who writes fantastic leases, and she gives all of her clients a checklist when they tell her that they're gonna rent new units. So if you had a good real estate attorney, and I know one, she'd get you a list just like that.
But that is very rare.
No, but,
That's what I'm saying.
But no, I think you do, and I jest, but
And I
you
think-
raise an excellent question, and I think that's something that we would ask them to please say,
Definitely.
a criteria we would want to see is, like Council Vasquez mentions, let's hypothetically, all 4,400 people register that first year. If that truly happened, that at the time of registration, not only are we getting their $100, they're getting a substantial checklist of expectations. That people are given clear expectations at the time of registration. Make that part of the program. I think that's very fair, and I like it, yeah.
There's no question that this is going to be a learning process for most people
Yeah.
in the city of Lawrence. There's no question that safety and health standards are necessary so that people will live safely, and they will feel more at ease in their own house, and those who rent,
Yeah.
obviously. But I think that it's going to be a real learning process that we should, we're going to have to do a lot of education.
But just kind of like you're saying, same thing with the city cleanup stuff, or with the mandatory recycling stuff, part of those programs is education too. And I
Of
think
course,
make that a
of
key
course.
component of this. Like Council Vasquez is saying, let's use real numbers. Well, if there's printing materials and there's real education pieces that we need to make part of this, maybe we need to have a few landlord seminars. What's the cost of running that seminar? Renting a room, paying a janitor, printing up 4,400 brochures. Make that part of the thing so that we're working with real numbers from day one. I like that very much. I think those are real good points that are being raised, that we have clear sets of expectations provided in the landlords at the time of registration, that we have clear numbers from day one of the cost, of the actual cost, including not just salary, but education. I think that's valid, and I'd like to see that. But I guess what I'm looking for from this body is to send it up. And you can send it up with a recommendation, without a recommendation, but I'd like to get the public hearing ordered, because I think it's never going to get off the ground if we don't at least order a
No,
public
I
hearing.
make the motion to send it without a recommendation.
Fair enough, okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Opposed? Okay. A roll call will be Councilor Maldonado,
Yes?
Councilor Reyes,
Yes.
Councilor Aquino, Councilor Rodriguez, Alvarez? Sorry?
No.
Councilor Alvarez.
Yes, now, since I'm a king, I'm gonna change it to yes.
No, this is only without a recommendation
Without
for additional
recommendation,
discussion,
okay.
public hearings, so we can get more
Yeah,
input
I
from
didn't
people.
get a chance to ask any questions.
So no, and
That's
we're
why you're going to
give
have the
it-
chance to ask more questions.
We're gonna send it up.
Are you sending it up for a
Then
public
no
hearing?
recommendation, public hearing, so that way people can feed us back and we can ask more questions.
But the other
if we
thing is
have-
there's
I'm a
nothing,
committee member and I never got a chance to ask a question.
Good, that's why you translating today.
Yeah.
So that way you know all the questions that the people was asking.
so do you have questions that you'd like to ask at this time, Counselor?
No, it's too late now.
No.
Votes.
No, we are still in this,
There's never too late. We're all here, the lights are on, Pat's working.
I'm ready to go.
So you voting no, you voting yes, or you?
I'm voting yes.
Oh, wow, okay, wonderful. Yeah, and I'm going to call myself Counselor Bernard. Since I messed up your name, I'll mess up my own, and I'll vote yes also. And I apologize for the, but the other thing is, I do have some questions, and I would like to probably email them out to inspectional services and the assessors, and I would encourage the other councils that have questions, get the questions asked before the, doing my math in my head, before the 17th, so that they can come back to us with answers, because I think it's
But
valid.
it's also, I don't want that we have a hearing and we hear different things and then we may want to make some changes.
Yeah.
And then we're told at that time that we can't make those recommendations because we have the public hearing and we'll have to have another public hearing in order to make the modifications.
That's not-
Like what happened to me before. So that's, part of my frustration, that either I get everything that I want to get now before there's a public hearing, because if I make any recommendations that lead to changing or tweaking, then we have to have another public hearing, because that's what I've
Then
been
in that
told.
case, we can,
And it's very different from
Sure.
what I've been accustomed.
But I also think that that's, I mean, I don't want to have a debate the debate, but at a public hearing, you can make changes. You can make suggestions for changes. If the other councils don't want to make those changes, that's a different story, but you can always make the suggestion.
Right, but that's not what I was told. I wasn't told we don't want to make those changes. I was told, well, that's a different, that's changing it too much. That's exactly what I was told. It wasn't, no, we don't want to make it, or we don't agree with it.
Okay, I misunderstood that conversation then, because I thought it was something different.
So, I don't know, I just, like I said before, a lot of things have changed. The practice here has changed a great deal, since I last was on the council.
Sure.
Whereas, committee members were first to ask the questions after people in the public would speak because they're voting members. And then our guests would then be allowed to speak after the committee members. But all policies and practices have changed since I last been on the council, and just take some adapting.
Madam Chair, remember that at the public hearing, we have several options. We can table it until we get the resource that we want, or we can vote it down, or we can vote in favor of it. So,
Next time, then, the other thing is to make sure that we get the public to know what time we're really gonna be here, because there were other
Definitely.
people
No, definitely,
that were
definitely.
here to speak, and they were unable to speak. And I understand what the chair wanted to do, it makes sense to me, but if you've been here since 5:30, and you see all these people talking,
we
it-
never
it
meet at 5:30.
feels different.
No, but
No,
people-
no,
not
people
us.
thought
People
that we're.
thought they had to
yeah.
get
Yes.
here
And
in
they
order
came.
to sign up to speak.
right.
Yeah, I don't know where they got that idea, but I feel badly for people that did that.
But I'm just saying that they thought at the very least we would be getting off at 7 o'clock. That didn't happen because there was another committee meeting. But then they didn't understand that, and they were here really early, because that's the way you do it. You get up early, with the rooster, so that you can get online.
Right.
I think that, Madam Chair, I think that we should somehow advertise the public hearing, because obviously there seems to be a lot of discussion on this, and advertise the public hearing so that people will come in and hopefully we will have more
That is
answers,
gonna be our final
and
vote.
and that will help.
I mean,
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. We shouldn't, in fact, I think we don't need to discuss this anymore.
no, I
What's
know.
done is done.
I know I feel the same way like you do. Yeah. Okay.
It's done, and I don't know if the chair wants us to do anything more.
Well, we have a few other items on the agenda that we need to go through. Document number 179-14 was a handicap parking spot at 443 Andover Street. Was requested by an Ivan Casaro and was sponsored by myself, Counselor Brunel. I need to get a motion to send that to Officer Scanlon for a review and report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those two,
Similarly, document number 174, we sent that up, the double polls.
yes.
Yeah, we
Yep.
did.
And the other two documents,
Yep, I got that. I have one more, actually. I have document number, where the heck was it? Document number 32-14 is a parking on Hale Street. I'd actually gone out to the location with Officer Scanlon, and I know why he's not here tonight. But I wanted to ask if we could send correspondence to Officer Scanlon to please submit his report on that by our June 3rd meeting. I'm pretty sure he has it done. And then to send that up without a recommendation pending his report.
So move.
Oh, no, this
That's-
is actually
that's-
document 30, this is a different item. Document 32-14 is a parking issue also on Hale Street. And I'm looking to send that to, send a letter to Officer Scanlon to have his report submitted by the 13th. And then for us to order the public hearing, but to send it up without a recommendation, since we don't have the report.
So move.
32, nope, we're not there yet.
not by the 13th, by the 3rd.
The 3rd, I'm sorry.
The 3rd.
Submitted by June 3rd.
Okay.
Yep.
So can I get a motion on that?
So move.
Second.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Similarly, Councilor Vasquez had two items, document number 177-13, which was handicap parking at 227 Walnut Street, requested by Jose Villa. And similarly, document number 127-13 is handicap parking at 12 Boston Street. Both of those have been referred to Officer Scanlon recently. What I'm asking is that we could send him correspondence on those two items and ask him to please have those submitted by the June 3rd meeting also.
Okay, so we're sending it up?
Yep, sending it up
So move.
without a recommendation and requesting Officer Scanlon file those two reports. So a motion was made by Councilor Reyes, seconded by Councilor Alvarez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone else have anything like that, parking issues or anything that needs to come back from Officer Scanlon? Nope. All right, anything else before we adjourn?
No. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.